Give me big old buckets of butter beer. Give me big old barrels of butter beer. Give me the drink I love so dear. And another round for my friend right here of the sweet old butter beer.
Welcome to the Three Broomsticks. We invite you to pull up a chair, grab a butter beer, and settle in for a hearty discussion about Harry Potter. I'm Sam Williams.
I'm Irvin Capeman.
And I'm Sierra Obermark. And today we are joined by one of my very dear friends, Tiffany.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi, Tiffany.
Yay.
Thanks for having me.
Tiffany, would you please share with the class some little details about yourself, your Hogwarts house, how you came to Potter, your favorite book, your favorite character, kind of all that jazz.
Sure. So I am a Slytherin through and through.
Boo!
Hey, we're not all bad.
Thanks, Cursed Child.
My journey to
Tiffany, ignore the Gryffindors. We always do around here.
Thank you. They speak loudly. My journey to Potter was an interesting little one, in my opinion. I was not allowed to read the books for a very long time because of my father's religion. And one day when I had achieved my reading goals, I was able to choose a book to get for free from the public library. And there was the Sorcerer's Stone.
Whoa.
So I had to grab it and read it in secret. And my mother let me read it so long as I put it away before my father got home. Because, oh my goodness.
This sounds exactly like a 90s children's movie.
I mean, that's my father.
10 out of 10 would watch.
Well, absolutely. 100%. Tiffany and the Treasure of Harry Potter.
I would have to say my favorite book is Goblet of Fire. I loved all of the houses coming together and the Yule Ball. It was all just such fun imagery. And it just, I don't know, it felt like it was a coming of age as well. Like everybody was first dipping their toes into this thing called romance. And it was just like, ooh, love it.
That was well put.
I identify with Hermione being a geeky child. So she and I always got along, and I always admired the fact that she was able to tame her hair somehow.
Oh, nice.
Magic.
Somehow.
Somehow.
Well, excellent. We are very happy to have you here. We're very happy to have you here for episode number 34, where we have gathered to discuss all of the characters who are missing from the Battle of Hogwarts. When you're listening to this episode, we will have someone recently celebrated the, oh good lord, 26-year anniversary of the Battle of Hogwarts. Oh, it has been more than a quarter century.
Oh,
That's a bad one. The Battle of Hogwarts can rent a car in the United States.
And get discounted insurance.
No!
and it can't be on its parents' health insurance anymore.
Oh, no! And it needs it. It's got so many scars from when it was born.
Right, like, wait, what are the Battle of Hogwarts' parents? Is it technically Harry and Voldemort?
It's Dumbledore. It's his only child.
That's fair.
Immaculate conception from Dumbledore.
Arnold Schwarzenegger style. That won't make sense to anybody. Arnold Schwarzenegger once played a man who got pregnant in a movie, and there's a whole scene where he gives birth. Anyways.
Nope.
0 out of 10 wouldn't watch.
Life without that information.
For this episode, which is about the Battle of Hogwarts, our recommended reading, if you haven't read or seen it yet, is Puffs. Puffs does a fantastic job of showing what some of the characters were up to during the Battle of Hogwarts, other than Harry and all of his friends. So we definitely recommend watching Puffs or reading the script or just acting in a community theater production of it, and we will be discussing some of it way later on. We'll issue a spoiler warning when we do.
Friends is a weird way to describe Crab and Goyle. Harry and all of his friends. Which also includes Acromantula, Dementors, Giants, and Crab and Goyle and Draco.
Sam, other way around, okay? Just because all of Harry's friends are in the Battle of Hogwarts does not mean that everyone in the Battle of Hogwarts is Harry's friend.
That's what you made it sound like. Grammatically speaking, you were close to being a fool, but not quite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not quite, because I was right.
I'll take the bit. It's a bit, and I made it happen. Yay me. Also, I've still not seen Puffs, so mark the day. 1 year later, and I still haven't seen it.
You're a monster,
I know.
but we know this.
It's fine.
We'll have a watch party.
I'm currently... we should do a watch party. That would be amazing. That should be a Patreon thing. I'm currently writing a play called Doors, because we didn't have enough Gryffindor time.
Oh, see, I thought it was actually about Unhinged, because that's what we just read in Smutty Book Club, and I can never look at a door the same way again.
Gross.
Yep, if you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't want to.
Who's the person that brought on these round of drinks that made this conversation happen?
So, huge thank you to Shruka over on our Patreon, who bought this round of drinks at the pub and I guess got us tipsy very early on in this episode. So, yay! Thank you, Shruka. Thank you so much. Listeners, if you'd like to buy us a round at the pub and, help fuel more of this chaos, please head over to patreon.com/3broomsticks. That's with the numeral 3 to sign up. We're offering so much bonus content.
So much.
We're pumping it out every other week. There's chats with the hosts. There's a fantasy Quidditch league run by two people who don't like Quidditch. We're offering on-episode shout-outs to our Patreons, and there's a lot of good stuff there, and we would really appreciate your help in keeping the lights on at this pub so we can talk about Harry Potter for a long time to come.
Listen, Aurelia and I can know that the rules of Quidditch are stupid and still love the game. It's fine.
You're so wrong about so many things, Sam.
Let's offer a toast and quickly move away from that to the comments on episode 31, which saw the return of the great Grace Candido Beecher. The episode... Dear Lord, what is happening?
I got a new phone today, and I don't know how to silence it.
Oh, no.
Y'all, I am good at podcasting, okay? I've been podcasting for many years, and I totally know how smartphones work.
Patrick is going to have a field day with the end of this episode. It's going to be
Right, I feel like we're 11 minutes in, and we have 8 minutes of bloopers for him.
That episode of 31 was about your... Sorry. I'm on the precipice of coughing a lung up. Yeah, okay, so episode 31 happened 3 episodes ago, and they talked about the Weasley twins, and we got some really cool comments on it, so y'all should go check that out. Also, we love reading your guys' comments, and we would love to get some new blood on there, too, so if you are feeling sheepish, please go put your comments on the website, where we can then read them, as I'm about to do for the commenter, Snitches Get... Stitches, which I wrote wrong in the doc, and it just says snitches get snitches.
It's snitches. It is snitches.
It's snitches.
Snitches get stitches or stitches get snitches?
No. Neither.
Or witches get...
Snitches get
what now?
snitches. 2 N's.
Twitches get witches.
Wait, what is... Who? I'm so sorry. What is this individual's actual commenting name?
I'm looking it up now.
I thought it was Stitches Get Stitches.
What is happening?
Okay, it's our friend Adam. He'll be on in a few episodes, so, if he doesn't hate us forever after this.
Snitches get snitches. It's the same word twice.
It is?
Yes.
Okay, well then...
It is indeed.
I've been saying it wrong for years, going back to the Alohomora days. So... my apologies to Adam and Snitches Get Snitches. But he had a really awesome comment. And he said, I have never read Charlie as shy or timid either, but rather as the strong and silent type to those who don't know him well. Being that way doesn't mean that he doesn't have friends, but I do think he's a person that builds a few very strong relationships, rather than a person with a large network of besties, friends, acquaintances, etc. We see he's pretty jovial with Hagrid showing him the dragons, and is fairly talkative with Harry in Tiffany's favorite book, Goblet of Fire, at the Burrow, and Quidditch World Cup. End of comment. Irvin, I believe you had a diametrically opposed view.
Yeah, so this was actually part of a debate that we were having. It was Absent-Minded Raven, Snitches Get Snitches, and me. And I think Absent-Minded Raven was also a bit opposed to this. But I always read Charlie as kind of the opposite of what Snitches Get Snitches says. Because basically the way he assembles, like, you know, random friends for a cross-continent smuggling operation, like, at the drop of a hat. Like, the way everyone talks about him is like, oh my god, Charlie Weasley, Quidditch player Charlie Weasley, like, you know, like, he's a legend, he's this, he's that. And he's friends with everyone, like, even down to Hagrid, which, why would you be friends with him? And he's... and actually, talk of the Battle of Hogwarts, he's the one leading the charge of, like, everyone's friends and relations. Like, I always thought of Charlie as, like, the biggest social butterfly in the series. I think he's someone who's very popular and has a very wide network of friends and acquaintances and casual hangers-on, and, yeah, I think Charlie is sort of the life of the party.
I always kind of read him, maybe not quite one or the other, but someone who has... maybe a lot of admirers rather than friends. I feel like he's maybe one of those people who, like, doesn't realize how popular he is. Like, he just is really friendly and is really kind to everybody and just does his own thing, and he does it really well. And then people are just attracted to his personality and, like, just want to be around him and want to be friends with him. But I feel like he probably, of the people that he's like, this is my core group, I feel like is probably fairly small. But I feel like he's just one of those people who, like, just goes through life and everybody's just like, oh yeah, isn't he great? And he's like, who, me? Me? I'm just living. I'm just here.
I'm just
Sierra,
Charlie.
I relate so much. I can't even tell you.
Sierra, I'm gonna name a drop. Nope, drop a name from college. And I think, because I had the exact same reading as Charlie that you do, which is, he's like this really talented kid who kind of knows that people like him, but, like, doesn't really interact with it, and sort of people are always too intimidated to go over to him. Does the name Wisman sort of feel in that vibe? Good, okay, yeah. So that Wisman and Charlie are the same energy, different body to me.
Kind of, yeah. I feel like...
early Wisman, not late Wisman career.
This is not a bash on Wisman at all. I feel like he maybe was a little bit more in tune with the fact that people liked him.
Yeah, that's later on for sure. Yeah, 100%. It's cool. Wisman was this guy who was wildly talented, still is by the YouTube page that he puts out occasionally. And just, like, especially early on when I was getting to know him, did not really interact with the fact that people really, really liked him. And then I think by the end, for sure, I think that tracks with what we saw. But Charlie feels just like sort of that, like, untouchable golden boy who's, you know, nice and talkative. And, yeah, he's friends with Hagrid because he's a decent human being.
Boo!
Tiffany, in case you didn't figure it out already, Irvin, not a fan of Hagrid.
I'm picking that up, and I'm not quite sure why.
I'm so glad you asked, because I once recorded...
That's not what the podcast
I once recorded
is about.
a 3-hour podcast episode about all the reasons I hate Hagrid, so I could just direct you to that.
Okay, I'll check up on that.
It's a 4-hour shouting match on Alohomora.
It was amazing.
It is perhaps the most talked about episode on that old Slack.
100%.
Oh man. All right. Well, thank you to Snitches Get Snitches for a rousing discussion of Charlie Weasley. And on to the main event.
Yes. So, the main event of the characters who are missing at the Battle of Hogwarts. And before we begin with this topic, I just feel like I need to point out it is a huge testament to Joe for how hard we had to work to come up with characters for this. Because, like, literally, I was going over it in my head. I was like, well, nope, they're there, and he's there, and like who isn't there?
Yeah.
Like everyone who's anyone.
I even was like writing in the doc and going, oh, this person isn't there, and then I went back and I reread and I was like, nope, they're there.
Nope, they are.
They're there.
Never mind.
Yeah. So actually, I have a trivia question for you all, and for our listeners. Who is the most mentioned character in the Harry Potter series who is not brought up during the Battle of Hogwarts?
Ooh.
Dobby, because he's dead.
Wait, who?
Said Dobby because he's dead.
I'm pretty sure that he's mentioned, though. They say his name at one point.
Do they?
Because he's thinking of people who've died.
Oh, of course. The fool of Harry.
I'm just saying. Technically
Technically incorrect.
The technicalities.
I will say, my immediate response was, I misinterpreted what this whole podcast was about for months on the calendar, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. The characters that go missing, that we don't know their fate after the Battle of Hogwarts, which I was like, the only person I can think of is Lavender Brown, which
all one of them. It's going to be a really short episode.
Short podcast.
It'll only go 2 hours 15.
So I got into the doc and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm ready to talk about ghosts. The ghosts. Oh, characters not mentioned. Like, we don't know if they're there or not because they were never mentioned. Oh, that makes so much more sense than being like, yeah, it's crazy. Lavender Brown on Pottermore, they said she was dead, and everyone was like, wait, what? She's dead? And then Pottermore was like, no, actually, she's not dead. And they were like, wait, what? She's not dead? And then Pottermore had to release a social media statement saying, we actually don't know if she's dead or not. So that was that podcast. Good. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Thanks for Shruka for putting all this together.
All right, so any of y'all want to make your guesses? And I will reveal the answer at the end.
Oh my gosh, this is such a good question. Oh my goodness. Mentioned the most all the way through. I feel like it's got to be Fudge.
Oh, that's so funny. That is such a good guess.
I don't know.
Goodness, there's so many names.
But I feel like that's got to be that's my guess.
Okay.
Is Neville's grandmother there?
Yes, she is.
Of course she is.
She goes to back up her grandson.
Yeah, she's like, excuse me, I must help my grandson, and charges.
I'm gonna guess Arabella Fig.
Touche.
I like it.
Because she shouldn't be there.
Oh, yeah,
wow.
she should not.
Racist sister.
She has no magical powers.
She could hit people with her purse full of cat food tins.
How much?
I mean, that's basically what Trelawney's doing, is just throwing shit at people.
She is literally just throwing crystal balls.
That's true. Yeah, but that's much heavier than cat food. It depends on the bag size, I guess.
Not if it's being whipped at your head.
I mean, if I'm an acromantula, I'm eating that woman immediately.
Oh, she's skin and bones. Like, what would you get out of it?
Skin and bones. You literally just listed the ingredients.
And the cat food as an added bonus.
And the cat food. And suddenly all acromantulas become domestic cat food eating spiders. New headcanon called it.
Tiffany, do you want to make a guess?
Oh my goodness. I'll admit, my brain is so frazzled.
Sorry.
My first thought was honestly Mr. Weasley, but I can't recall if he was actually there.
He is.
He is.
There for sure.
Okay. Of course he is.
Like, see, this is what we're talking about. Like, every character, you're like, nope, he's there, she's there, they're all there.
Nagini's there,
Yeah.
Fenrir's there.
Wow. I'm going to have to pass.
All right. Fair enough. Listeners, while you're listening, hit us up on social media. You have all our handles in the descriptions and whatever. Tweet at us, Insta us or whatever people do on Instagram. And give us your guesses. I'll be curious if any of y'all actually figure this one out.
Wait, can I change my guess? I'm going to guess Nearly Headless Nick. Because he's mentioned way more than Fig. I was just trying to think about, like, in terms of people being mentioned.
Technically, he is there because Harry asks him where the Grey Lady is.
Whoa, okay. Never mind, I withdraw.
Bam!
If we're getting technical, which we know.
Oh, we are getting technical.
Oh, my God.
We're all about the technicality.
Is it Hedwig because she's dead?
Huh?
I said, is it Hedwig because she's dead?
Oh, rude.
Rude.
But
Oh,
truthful.
dear. I mean...
Is it Newt Scamander because he's mentioned in all the movies?
All right, I think we gotta cut Sam off. So,
no more guesses for you.
talk of nearly headless Nick and ghosts. So other than, like, Nick and the Grey Lady, like, sort of showing up to tell their tales, the ghosts in general do not partake in the battle.
Neat.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I think they could have participated. Like, I think, you know, because, like, running through a ghost is described as, like, really sort of unpleasant and a little bit shocking. So I feel like if I were a ghost, I would just be, like, zooming at the Death Eaters, being like, bam, bam, you feel awful, you feel awful.
This is very true.
Right? Like, a split-second advantage could make a real difference.
That
Yeah.
is such a great point.
That
How
is
much?
a good point.
How much you want to bet though that most of the ghosts are on Voldemort's side because they're all old and therefore racist?
I personally had the thought of, you know, we don't know a whole lot about dark magic, so what if there is something where they're able to, like, actually be a bigger risk than they are an ally?
That's a great point. They're all just huddling in the Chamber of Secrets, or just like in dirt, like just miles beneath the school, being like, "They told us to stay here so we don't become his servants."
Well, okay. All right, fine. I'll bite. What happens if a Dementor, like, tries to kiss a ghost? Like, could a Dementor actually, like, destroy a ghost?
That's
I mean,
a great
it takes
question.
a soul.
And they're just an
Right?
imprint. Merely Heather's Nick
I don't
says
think
that he's
so.
just an imprint
Yeah.
left behind, so I don't think so. But it would be cool if they could just, like, eat ghosts. That'd be crazy.
That would be
Yeah, like, I think the Dementors are basically Pacman.
That's our title.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like they would have any interest because they wouldn't have a soul and, like, you know, memories and happiness to be feeding off of. And so I don't feel like Dementors would find them that interesting.
Okay, so now I'm picturing... So the way I think of it is, like, a Dementor could kiss a ghost because they're, like, an itty little bit of soul and, like, permanently destroy them. But, like you said, the Dementors are just completely uninterested. So I imagine Prisoner of Azkaban, when the Dementors were surrounding the school, there were some ghosts who were just, like, tired of it all and wanted to move on. They're like, listen, we've been ghosts for 1,500 years. And so they keep just floating up to the Dementors and like, take me now! And the Dementors are like, no, go away. No, I will not suck you off.
Oh, God.
That's a Ghosts reference at the CBS show. I'm not that gross.
Yes, I actually got that.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay. All right. Here's a question. It'd be interesting, the hypothetical, if Dementors evolutionarily evolved because they were ghost eaters.
Oh.
And that they became much more interested as they evolved to more quickly and efficiently eat what sustains them, which is to actually just go for the soul fully ripe inside a human.
Oh, I like that.
I like that, except for the fully ripe inside a human. That made me very uncomfortable.
Well, because otherwise, this is something that we talked on Alohomora years and years ago, but like it sometimes feels like for how long human history is and how many people are scared of death, that there should just be ghosts everywhere all the time. And so it'd be interesting if there was like a way to get rid of them, which is the frickin' Dementors.
So you think there was an overcrowding problem with ghosts, like hundreds of years ago, and so wizards made Dementors, and they're like, listen, we gotta clean up this rabble. and overdid it.
To be the Ghostbusters?
I need a Dementor, 4 Dementors driving in a little station wagon so bad. Somebody make that fan art. We'll put it up on the website. Oh my god.
Oh my
Don't
gosh.
cross the streams.
I mean, what is a Patronus if not the embodiment of your soul in ghost animal form?
True.
Mm-hmm.
But if a ghost is more of an imprint, and a portrait is like an imprint,
then the Dementor should be sucking off portraits and ghosts alike.
I just don't think they're tasty enough anymore.
Yeah.
Like, the fully ripe soul is just better.
But the portraits aren't really an imprint. They're more like a copy, right? Like,
True.
I feel like the portraits have nothing to do with the person's soul. They're like paint on canvas and you magic it.
Unless you believe that an artist leaves a part of their soul in their work, in which case Dementor should be licking all art everywhere.
Maybe that's how the first Horcrux was made by Herpo the Foul. Maybe he was just like really into painting people and suddenly he was like, wait, what's happening? Oh shit, I'm immortal now.
It's like a portrait of Dorian Gray.
Yeah, totally. That is a Horcrux for sure. Just like Mary Poppins' cane and bag are Horcruxes.
Yeah. Dude, I remember there was an essay about the portrait of Dorian Gray on, I think, The Leaky Cauldron in, like, 2004 or something. So, like, me, being all of 12 years old, is, like, reading all this literary analysis about Dorian Gray, knowing nothing about anything. And I was like, oh... like, it honestly intrigued me so much, I tried to read Dorian Gray myself, like, for funsies. It's the first time I attempted reading a classic on my own. It, of course, did not go well. I got, like, 40 pages in and noped out. But that's how devoted I was to Harry Potter, that I tried to read classics just to understand it better.
Nice. You know, it is surprising to me for the Battle of Hogwarts that Moaning Myrtle does not show up. I know that would, she's such a comedic figure, it would undercut it, but it would have been really funny if Harry was walking out to the forest with his invisibility cloak on and Myrtle was just like, hello, Harry.
Yeah.
I think it would be even better if, well, what I could really see is Moaning, you know how Lucius and Narcissa are like not even paying attention to anything else. They're just trying to find Draco.
Yeah.
Moaning Myrtle is guiding them to Draco because she knows where that boy is at all times.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. I actually really like that.
Sweet, or she's very thirsty, which is...
it can be both.
Two things can be true.
On it.
But can she?
Yeah.
She can make him very cold.
She can... very uncomfortable.
Yeah, jokes aside from Moaning Myrtle, I think the biggest reason Moaning Myrtle isn't in the battle is ring theory, because Moaning Myrtle is very much part of that, like, very tight, elegant 2-4-6 ring, and, like, is not mentioned, is not even thought of, like, in any of the other books. So I feel like if Jo weren't, like, trying so hard to nail that ring shut, we probably would have seen her in the Battle of Hogwarts.
That's interesting.
She's in the lake with the Dookies.
Gross.
Unnecessary.
Yeah. But I like, if she was in the battle, which I assume she was, I'm just imagining her, like, you know, complaining at the Death Eaters, being like, oh, you're trying to kill people, just like somebody killed me. Let me tell you, I got killed and it sucked, and now I haunt a bathroom and nobody visits me, and that is what you are trying to put all these people through. Think about what you're doing.
She would be so distracting.
Right?
Man, Remus could have used that for Dolohov.
Oh.
Yeah, we're talking about death people. It's going to be sad.
It's been a very sad episode so far. We've been very somber.
So somber.
And so somber that the next person I'm going to bring up is Peeves. Because even though he's not a ghost, he does appear and is part of the fight, which is excellent. He's dropping Snargaluff pods onto Death Eaters' heads and covering them with wriggling worms and all sorts of stuff.
I gotta say, is very on brand for Peeves, because it would be a bit to not a children's series if he showed up with actual helpful weapons from the armory and just was splitting people's heads open.
Well, why is he not with Neville and the venomous tentaculas?
Correct.
That's my question.
Also a great question.
No, I think that, like, he was, you know, delegated by Neville. I think Neville is in charge of all the plant-based defenses, and he was like, Peeves, here are the Snargluff pods. And I think Peeves swept off his hat and did a salute Weasley twin style, and I'm weirdly getting into my feelings about Peeves and Neville right now, so I'm gonna need a second.
I think... I really wish that we'd gotten a scene with Neville's Mimbulus Mimbletonia having grown like 24 feet, so it's in the entrance of Hogwarts, just smashing people to bits and doing stink sap everywhere, just as a metaphor for how much Neville has grown in both body and spirit.
Yeah. Oh my god. And then the Death Eaters are just like, oh, what's this plant do? This plant doesn't do anything. I dare you to poke it. And one of them pokes it, and just like a gusher of stink sap like drowns him.
Yeah,
on the spot.
I think if they'd wrote that in, that would probably be Gorp's death would be that before the battle even got started.
That's awesome. Also, if we're talking about Peeves, can I just say one of my favorite bits in the entire Deathly Hallows is when McGonagall yells at Filch to get Peeves. Now go and do something constructive. Find Peeves.
Yes.
Peeves? Stammered Filch as though he had never heard the name before. Yes, Peeves, you fool, Peeves. Haven't you been complaining about him for a quarter of a century? Go and fetch him at once.
Which is weird. It's just weird that it's been 26 years.
Amazing.
So now it's been 51 years since Filch got hired.
Yeah.
That sucks.
It does. We're old.
I hate it.
So that's the ghost. But let's move on to what I actually think is kind of the most glaring omission in the Battle of Hogwarts, which is all the international wizards.
Yes.
Like, I'm trying to think of a delicate way to say this. Because, Tiffany, I know Goblet of Fire is your favorite book. But what was the point? Like,
the point?
We spent 734 pages talking about international magical cooperation and how we're now friends with the French and the Bulgarians, how they will all be welcome at Hogwarts, and how we made all these connections, and nope, that's it. Nope, it's a strictly British affair.
Irvin, the whole point was a intricate weave of the mystery of what's going on at Hogwarts, culminating in two very important parts of the story: Blast-Ended Scroots and Rita Skeeter.
Yes, but aside from that,
it is absolutely bonkers to me how, like, not connected the Wizarding world is to these two wars. I mean, it's a little harder to say that they weren't aware or battling in Voldemort's first little jaunt towards immortality, but we don't ever hear about foreign wizards fighting Voldy. It's just like, and especially when you think about all the stuff in Fantastic Beasts, like Dumbledore has this huge international community, and he's got all these contacts, and like nobody shows up except for Karkaroff. It's only Karkaroff who helps Voldemort, and that's it. And you'd think that there'd be a little bit more, like the Crumb would show up, that Fleur would be somewhere, that like it's
Fleur's
just
there.
Fleur is there,
but she's married. She's British,
but she's British by marriage
English at this point. She's the most Anglophile French person you've ever met, and it's strange that it seems like everyone was like, you know what? We should go. Oh, wait. The guy who got Grindelwald is there. We don't need to. Dumbledore's got it.
So I don't object to it as much on a logistical perspective, because I was like, time, space, like, this wasn't planned. It all was a bit of an ad hoc final battle. It's more the literary aspect of it, because Goblet of Fire, like, kidding aside, is so pivotal.
Yeah.
It's the center of the series. It's where it grows up. Like Tiffany said, it's an amazing book where he comes of age. And like, in this book that has so much going on, like the parting lesson, like, that Dumbledore leaves us with is international magical cooperation.
Right.
Like, his quote, which, you know, was my yearbook quote, differences of habit and language mean nothing at all if our aims are identical and our hearts are open. And just, like, after that, like, we just, never mind.
I think it's a show of what things should or could be. Kind of similar to how we always say, you know, our children will be the ones that will da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So Dumbledore was speaking to the children as the future because possibly the wizarding politics were a little dicey too.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah. That's a fair point.
I also think, though, that, like, especially, I feel like Crumb in particular has no excuse. He's at Flora's friggin' wedding.
When it gets attacked!
Earlier in this book.
Yeah.
Maybe he died there and we just don't know.
He's in the UK. Like, I mean, I feel like we would know.
Yeah.
But, like...
He had too many feelings for Hermione. He didn't want to see her again.
Like, he was attacked by a Death Eater. He liked Diggory, and Diggory was murdered by Voldemort.
Right.
Like... And also, he lost a grandfather to Grindelwald.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he knows what happens when you let these dark wizards run unchecked and how it rips families apart. Like, there is no reason Crumb shouldn't have
He's a crummy wizard.
Especially since he's such good friends with Fleur. He really respects Harry. He still, especially if he does still care for Hermione, like, wouldn't he want to be there to try to help protect her?
Mm-hmm.
He could easily have, like, he's such a known person. He easily could have been like, all you international Quidditch players, come with me and let's go hit bludgers at Death Eaters. Like,
I'm going to tell you right now, Sierra, there's no bigger cowards of actual fights than professional athletes.
True.
it depends on what sport. But
yeah,
if
but
you're
any of
likening
them,
Quidditch
any of
to
them
soccer,
could
then
lose.
yes.
Any of them could lose their eye. I mean, soccer players are NBA players, golf players. Any of them, all of them are so afraid of an injury. The only
Fair
people that I
enough.
feel like is like UFC fighters feel like they always want to fight, but that's because they're on tons and tons of steroids and they don't think correctly.
But Crumb was a
also, like,
Tri-Wizard champion.
yes,
Crumb was
he's
not.
just a Quidditch player, and also like
He was a Tri-Wizard loser.
oh my gosh, but
He lost.
But also like, do we actually know what Oliver Wood does after school?
Quidditch.
He goes to Pride of Portree.
Puddlemere United,
Okay,
you heathen.
thank you.
Oh, no, I'm
Okay.
sorry. We just had a literal conversation in the book.
Okay, because
I was freaking whatever Harry's love interest is in the 5th book. That's literally what she says. Show, yeah.
So, but side note.
Okay.
Oliver Wood is there. he is a Quidditch player.
That's true.
And he is there.
Is or was?
No, he
Is.
is. He's
No,
at
he
the
is
battle.
No, he shows up.
In
Yeah.
book 7, he is like the backup keeper for Puddlemere United.
So he
Yeah.
comes to help. And if he can do that, then so can everybody else.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oliver, Quidditch is my entire life and should be everybody else's wood, is there.
Yeah.
Risking injury and death.
Yeah. And, like, who better than Crumb to rally international wizards?
Right?
Like, the epic international superstar. Like,
Okay.
I feel like if Crumb sends out, like, a mass Patronus, like, everyone shows up.
Only the Order of the Phoenix people know how to do that Patronus thing at this time.
Yes, this is true.
And also, what if that is what Crumb is doing? He's amassed this huge army of international wizards, and he's given this big, like, what's the Scottish rebellion movie?
Braveheart.
Big Braveheart speech, and as they charge into the grounds of Hogwarts, the battle's over, and everyone's just cleaning up.
That would be excellent.
That is the only headcanon I will accept.
Yeah,
that
I'm now-
Crumb
that
was
is- that's it.
literally on his way to the battle and, like, missed it by 5 minutes.
Riding in on a unicorn, he's got Charlie on a dragon above him, like, all of it.
Charlie's there,
I
though.
told you we should have used Floo Powder.
But also,
Yeah.
like, especially, so, like, like, Crumb is definitely the worst example. But, like, so Fleur is there. But, like, she still has family and connections. And Madame Maxime has family and connections and et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like between the two of them, they're respected or feared or loved enough to be able to request people's assistance. And, like, Fleur, if she even wanted to fight dirty, can use her little Vila powers to convince all the fighting-aged men to come let a hand.
But she could also disarm the Death Eaters.
Yes.
Like, give them a full blast of Vila magic, and, you know, that's more distracting than the ghosts.
I know she wouldn't want to put Gabrielle in any more danger, but, like, who?
She's got Vila friends. Like, just get the mascots from the Bulgarian national team. Crumb can bring them, too. Man, can you imagine?
Together. Boom.
And then we definitely see if Cursed Child's accurate and Voldemort really does get down and dirty. Because he would have to be distracted by these Vilas if that was true.
That's fair. But yeah, I do think it was a big missed opportunity because we know that, like, Voldemort's really only interested in the UK at this time. He's really only interested in this one area, and specifically Hogwarts.
One little wet island.
Et cetera, et cetera. But, like, yeah, what's the point of, like, introducing magical schools and friends and specific people connections if you're just not going to have them appear when they're actually needed? And just can show up at a wedding, but they can't show up at a final battle.
Right.
I mean, like what Irvin was saying, it is a little bit of like it's not like Harry wrote Save the Dates to the Battle of Hogwarts. It just kind of, as they say in the movie, like, we show up, stuff happens, we fight. Like, that is not a direct quote of the movie either. And just to go back to my initial point, like, it is just so strange when you see the international cooperation of Fantastic Beasts. And, like, there's just so much more help, it feels like, that comes from around. Like, Nicholas Flamel, I don't think is mentioned at all. He's probably dead at this point after 6 years, but maybe not. And but the only other headcanon...
No, he is, actually.
He is 100% dead.
I think he only had a few weeks to get his affairs in order.
Yeah. Well, no, more like Joe said before Deathly Hallows came out, because everyone was theorizing that Nicholas Flamel would be the 7th defense teacher, and Joe was like, he dead, y'all. Like, what?
That's funny. And terrible. He had a long life, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna mourn him. But I do, the only other headcanon I will accept, other than, like, Victor Crumb being all brave-hearty with the international community, is people internationally being like, there's an evil wizard in Britain. We should... Oh, no. Dumbledore's there. Dumbledore? Yeah, the guy who told her at Grindelwald. Oh, yeah, he lives in Scotland. What? No, it's the exact same thing as England. England, Scotland, exact same place. No difference.
But he's dead.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
Yes, they do.
No, I know. This is more a reference to why we don't see more international wizards in the Order in Book 5 and 6 than it is what's going on in 7.
I'll give you that much. For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. You will. I will take it.
By force.
But Irvin, this next character that you're going to mention is the biggest omission in my not so humble opinion.
Yes. The dearly missed and dearly beloved Ford Anglia.
Missed opportunity.
It's such a missed opportunity. I really was hoping and thought, especially when they started to do that montage of, like, and here are the spiders, and here are the Dementors, and it's kind of like you're, like, walking through the films for a second. I really thought in the movie, Deathly Hallows Part 2, that they would fix this, because the camera loved the Ford Anglia more than anything else except for Kenneth Branagh in Chamber of Secrets.
I mean, because it looks amazing.
It looks so good. It looks so good. And I would have loved to have seen an Acromantula bearing down on Ron before Ford Anglia just trucks it, knocking it off the bridge where house elves are waiting, dressed in spider heads and fangs for knives to devour the beast. Okay?
No, Sam, better. An Acromantula is bearing down on the Ford Anglia, and Ron rescues it. It's a full circle moment. Ron is like, yes, spiders, that's what's up.
In either way, say, the Anglia and Ron, in some way, shape, or form, both give each other that, like, very, like, hero nod sort of thing, when it's like, oh, yeah, I silently recognize that you have done me correctly today. And then, in that moment just after, in that moment of triumph, I'm sure Grope would take a wrong step backwards and just crush the Anglia and kill it.
Oh.
No.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Sorry.
This is.
Correct.
Because you make things
Hagrid's
either
bloodline.
die or get eaten.
Or both.
Or both.
That's me. That's who I am. That's all I do. This is
The
why I'm a
devourer
teacher.
of all things.
The power of all things. Your dreams, your life, everything.
No, I definitely thought that, like, even if it doesn't join the battle at the beginning, when the centaurs do finally show up, that
Yes!
they could come. It could come riding out with the centaurs. Like, maybe even like in another type of full circle moment, it could lure Death Eaters to the Whomping Willow, which then crushes them.
I love that. What is this Meggle technology doing on the Hogwarts ground? Get it! And then just squash.
Exactly.
In my mind, for some reason, I have the, like, Aladdin's magic carpet and Abu just, like, high-fiving when they're like, yeah, we did it. Like, the Ford Anglia and the Whomping Willow are just like, yeah, we're friends now.
Yes.
We got
See,
this.
and then that's when it has, like, major engine failure, because the Whomping Willow high-fiving the car would destroy it.
Oh, no.
Sam, why can't you let this Ford Anglia be happy?
You said
You
this
just-
was
you
the
just
Leave
biggest
the Ford
omission.
Anglia alone.
You just want it home in its little forest land.
Yes, I mean, I assume the reason we didn't see the Ford Anglia is because it was sitting at home with its tricycle babies and taking care of them. So, like, we know where it was, but I still would have expected an appearance.
Tricycle babies?
Oh, yes. So I have long had a pet theory that the Ford Anglia and Sirius's motorcycle got
Oh, yeah,
together
that's right.
and fell madly in love with each other and had babies. And since it has 4 wheels and the motorbike has 2, their babies would be tricycles.
It wouldn't be little sidecars?
Little
No.
sidecar.
Oh, that's
No.
cute too.
Tricycle babies.
Straight up tricycle babies. Oh my god. When you put this in the doc, Irvin, this is such me-level headcanon and ridiculousness of it that I like went back through old Alohomora and Three Broomsticks things to be like, did I make this up? Is he quoting me? What's happening here? But no, it's you. It's always been you.
It's always been me. Yeah. No, like, the Ford Anglia, like, even a, like, bigger picture, I was always shocked it never showed up again. Like,
Yes.
out of all the characters in the early books, I mean, all of them who are, alive, like, all come back. I mean, Aragog comes back, Lockhart comes back, like, everyone. Everyone makes an appearance, except the Ford Anglia, and, like, it's there. It's a lot. I mean, alive-ish. It's in the Forbidden Forest in one piece, like...
However life works for magic, we can banish kittens and not call it murder, but we can make a car alive. It's great. And we get far too much Dobby and not enough Winky and Ford Anglia, and I would rather have switched them out.
Amen. Yeah.
Good. Conclusive. Ford Anglia, missed opportunity.
100%.
Yep. Which actually, I mean, I hadn't mentioned this, but Winky. Where's Winky in the Battle of Hogwarts?
Drunk.
Yeah, that's fair.
She's mourning the fact that Dobby hasn't shown up yet. He's been missing for weeks. Nobody's had the heart to go and tell Winky that her only friend in the whole world is
Creature would
dead.
have told her.
But Creature doesn't know.
Creature knows. He and
Nobody
Dobby
knows,
were
except
doing
for
missions
Harry.
together.
No,
He
but
would
Dobby
know.
died.
He would
on the
know.
beach with Harry. Creature hasn't seen Harry or anybody. It's not like Creature just shows up at Shell Cottage to smoke a cigarette on the beach.
I still feel like he would know that Dobby
Just
wasn't
in his
around
heart.
anymore.
He has a locket of Doggy. Oh my god. He has a locket of Dobby and it just breaks the moment Dobby's heart stops beating.
No, you know what it is Slytherin's locket. He has a little picture of Dobby.
Oh, Dobby.
He has Regulus, he has Regulus and Dobby.
Yep, checks out.
It's Regulus, like, Sharpied out with a whiteout painting of Dobby on it.
No, he'd have both, because he's yelling for Regulus when he charges into battle.
Oh,
See,
that's right.
now I'm just picturing, like, Creature, like, in the kitchens, and Dobby just never comes back.
Yeah.
And Creature just spends weeks being like, but where's my buddy?
Yeah,
and,
same with
like,
Winky.
yeah, I think he doesn't know. And it's real sad. And, like, maybe Winky finally gets out of her funk by comforting Creature about the loss of Dobby, because she knows what it's like to lose someone.
Listen.
I love that.
There is some really choice, like the reason you listen to this podcast, headcanon about Winky and Creature coming up. But let's not spoil it between we get there.
Wait, is there really?
Yes, there is.
There is absolutely.
There is 100% a little fanfic going on in this.
Irvin, you and I are
stuff.
so on the same page that you're almost spoiling my headcanon.
All right. I'm sorry. I mean, would you like to get right to it now?
No, it has to do with a Mr. Theodore Knott when we get to him.
All right. Fair enough. We'll stick a pin in Creature and Winky.
In Creature and Winky. Instead, shall we move on to something that has already been mentioned? A Norberta, in fact.
Yes. So, the Battle of Hogwarts really shows that Harry Potter is not epic fantasy. Because, like,
Absolutely.
I've read my share of epic fantasy, and if Harry Potter were 210%, Norbert would have been there. It is like epic fantasy 101 that if you have a baby dragon in book 1 and you set it free and you are good to it, it comes back in the final battle all heroic and it remembers and loves you. And I'm just like, I don't make the rules, but they're there.
That's not even just
so
epic
true.
fantasy. That's the rules of Pokemon. Like, Charizard is always there.
Oh, that too.
So it's really not high or epic or pokey or fantasy. It's just Harry Potter. League of its own.
Yeah. I'm specifically thinking of Lloyd Alexander and the Foundling that comes back in, The High King. And I was like, of course. Like, how could it not?
Yeah.
Like, it's just how things are done.
Yeah, that's so true. I do, like, if this were epic fantasy, there would for sure have been big scene, the sky darkens, they all look up, and you just see
The sky
a
darkens at
dragon
night.
descending, ridden by Charlie. Charlie's friends are all on other dragons or accompanying them on broomsticks. Like, all the wizards are, like, inside. Charlie's cleaning up all the dark creatures and, like, shooing them all back into the forest for the centaurs to, like, take care of the rest of them. And it would be, like, this whole thing. But it would become much more of, like, a dragon battle, which would be which there are plenty of those out there, books and films, well, all of which never made it into good films either, which is fine.
Can I say,
It's not
I love that you said the sky would darken, and I was like, yeah, the sky would darken from their, like, 2 a.m. battle.
Yeah.
It would get even darker.
I 100% forget every time that the battle takes place at night.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I know it's Scotland in May, so the sun sets at, like, 1 a.m. or something.
I was going to say, but it's pretty bright for probably quite some time. But yeah.
For a good chunk of it, yeah.
I definitely, like, I do not picture this battle taking place in the dead of night. For whatever
because
reason.
the head cover of it is all an orangey sun glow.
True.
Because it ends as the sun rises on a new day.
Yeah, I know,
Sure.
but still. This feels very much like the Supernatural episode where they're fighting bugs for 5 minutes and it goes from midnight to dawn. And I'm like, what happened to time?
Like, I'm not saying it's like, Game of Thrones where it's just pitch black and you hear noises and you're like, I wonder what's happening. I wonder who won. But, like, it is nighttime.
Yeah, I always forget this.
In this doc for a little bit, there was some confusion around the way you phrased all the wizards are riding inside Norbert. And Irvin, you were in here being like, wait, are you saying they ride inside? And What, he just spits them out?
Because, Sierra, you said that,
I said all the wizards are inside, and Charlie's cleaning up all the dark creatures and shooing them back to the forest.
Right, and we were talking about Norbert, and I was like, whoa. Are you saying the wizards are riding inside Norbert? And, like, Norbert shows up and spits them out into battle, and I had so many follow-up questions for this.
And so, like, you went and fixed it here, and now it says the castle in bold. But I did like this idea of this hidden wizard army inside Norberta with, like, and Charlie is, like, riding up there with, like, his Greek friend on top of Norbert, and as the dragon, like, spits out the wizard army, Charlie's Greek friend looks at him and is like, see, I told you, it always works. And then I'm pretty sure Nagini would look up in jealousy as this great lizard, giant, snake, dragon creature is spitting out people and just, like, looks at the nearest Death Eater, we can call her Bellatrix's husband, and just swallows him whole and is like, nah, it didn't work. All right, I tried.
What is with you and the swallowing?
Yeah, why is it never spitting?
Because my greatest fear is being swallowed whole and digested, fully conscious.
I'm dead. I broke it.
You could just see it. It'd be such a great comedic beat. The snake and the man just looking up at the dragon, looking at each other, and then just swallows them whole. Oh my god. No. You all listeners will never know the secret jokes happening in the dock.
I'm so hard right now. I need a second to compose.
Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna take a beat.
No one wants to talk about the easily swallowable thing next, Fudge.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay.
You good? You good? You ready?
But I'm okay.
That's what she said. It's fine.
Sorry for derailing.
This episode was never going to be on the rails. No, Sam started it.
It's true.
Okay, moving along, we're not going to have a transition there.
No, it's easily swallowable material, Fudge.
Yes, alright, Fudge. Yes, so Cornelius Fudge, is not at the Battle of Hogwarts. We actually never see him again after the other minister.
Eaten by Nagini.
Have you ever seen them together in the same room?
You know, I just kind of picture Nagini, like, looking up at Norbert being like, I want to grow up to be just like her.
It's too bad I got a bit of Valdi's soul inside me. Someone want to head me? Neville?
Yeah. But I could see Fudge showing up at the Battle of Hogwarts. Like, I really could have gone for, like, an 11th hour redemption, you know, a la Percy Weasley. Like, I wouldn't have hated that.
I think it would have robbed Percy of the sort of poetic justice of his moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because Fudge and Percy would represent basically the same thing in that moment, and I much prefer it being happening with Percy. Although I would have much preferred Percy dying instead of Fred. But yeah, I think Fudge doesn't really serve any purpose there, and I think it's much more in his character to not show up because he's such a coward. Much like Victor Crumb. Victor Crumb, Cornelius Fudge, same person.
Ridiculous.
I'm not saying I'm Batman.
Yes, we have many times.
But you've never seen Batman and I in the same room.
But Polyjuice Potion exists, so.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Touché. I will make my exit.
No, like, I agree that, like, you know, we didn't need it, and, like, yeah, it's totally in Fudge's character not to, but, like, it would have been interesting to see Joe do a big redemption like that, because big, grandiose redemptions aren't really her style, actually.
Right.
Like, like, it's actually one of the things I like best about her writing is there's no, like, you know, aha, I have had a change of heart and I'm now a good person. It's much more like, oh, like, people who were bad turn out to be slightly less bad, or turn out to have good reasons for being bad. And I think it's so much more interesting. You know, think Draco's arc, think Snape's arc. So, yeah, like...
Gilderoy's arc. Much nicer when his memories are robbed.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, I've talked myself out of it. I was like, no Fudge redemption.
I think it would have been interesting to at least see him, even if he is still being a coward. Like, maybe he's dragged along by some others or something like that, and then you still see him being cowardly, and, like, running off somewhere, or, like, trying to hide, or showing up at the very, very, very end, almost like, aha, you've managed to do it. I can be minister again.
Wait, no. I know what Fudge did that night. I think he's exactly like the guy who made the Titanic, where, like, when the kids are being evacuated from Hogwarts, Fudge just runs with the kids to get out of Dodge. I think that would be Fudge's poetic ending.
I would also subscribe to Lucius Malfoy having worn him like body armor. Just Fudge in his robes and slippers and no wand in the fetal position constantly, as Lucius just shows how much he's owned Fudge this whole time.
Yeah.
It's a little on the nose, but it would be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Listeners, if you like hearing about Cornelius Fudge, keep coming to our pub, because we got plans.
Yes, we do. Plans.
Yeah.
Do you know who we don't have plans for? Is murdering Mundungus Fletcher.
Yet.
Who also wasn't there. Not yet. He's still useful.
Listen, like, we gotta plan episodes, for next year at some point. Yeah, no.
Tell me about the Fletch Pletch.
Yeah, Mundungus, he very much does have a big role to play in Deathly Hallows, but not at the final battle. And I feel like if he were there, it could go one of two ways, right? Either we do a redemption thing, kind of like Fudge, kind of like Percy, where, like, even someone as self-interested and, slippery as Mundungus realizes there are things worth fighting for. Which, again, if it were epic fantasy, 100% that's how it would go.
Mm-hmm.
Or, and I like this much better, I think Mundungus goes full Thenardier in the Battle of Hogwarts. Where just, watch them run amok, catch them as they fall, never know your luck where there's a free-for-all. Here's a little dip, there's a little touch. Most of them are goners, so they won't miss much.
We've been sued by the musical Les Miserables because we don't have the rights until we make a
No, we
parody.
didn't. My singing was so off-key, they'll never pick it up.
It would be great to have seen Mundungus sort of picking everybody's pockets.
Yeah.
Oh, he's looting the bodies, for sure.
Right, like 100%.
Yeah.
Also, I think this is like our most pop culture heavy episode ever.
But why?
The irony is that I am horrible with pop culture.
So we're just boxing you out. It's good. We're great hosts. Welcome to the podcast. Irvin, it's really interesting that you were saying about the redemption arcs, because Amos Diggory doesn't get any sort of arc until Cursed Child, and his reverse of a redemption arc is so stark because it doesn't fit thematically at all with the subtlety of arcs that Rowling gives her characters. So you talking about, like, we don't get these big things like with Fudge, and we're definitely not going to get one with Fletcher, and now we've got Amos Diggory who's gone, and he doesn't really get any more mentions at all after my boy. And so, but he's not there, and he probably should be. Yeah,
I was always a little bit surprised that Amos never showed up again.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's one of those things where, like, she introduced so much cool stuff in Goblet of Fire that, like, there are one or two rare instances of her, like, writing checks she didn't cash later.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because with Amos, like, he has this fraught relationship with Harry to begin with, right? Like, they kind of clash, and he's, supporting his son, and then Cedric dies, Harry lives, but Harry brings back the body, and just, like, there are so many, like, God, all these jumbled emotions. Like, if we think Cho has complicated feelings towards Harry, like, Amos is just a whole nother level, and I was like, let's explore that.
Ooh.
Let's feel those feelings.
Interesting pre-battle circumstance to have explored that would have been Amos showing up at Harry's hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Well, and
Like,
I thought
whether
that
for or against, either way, it would be very interesting.
Or as like the tie-breaking vote on the Wizengamot.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
See, I always thought that when Voldemort took over in Book 7, I kept sort of waiting around for Amos Diggory to show up because I thought they were going to start to do like less subtle anti-propaganda, or not anti-propaganda, just more less subtle propaganda, where like Amos Diggory gets on the radio broadcast and says, "Harry Potter killed my son." And like that's how I thought he was going to come out, as somebody who's been threatened into lambasting Harry. Now that doesn't need to happen, but that was a theory of mine while I was reading that book.
Yeah.
I thought it would be the opposite, that they'd bring Amos on the other radio show.
On Wizard.
Yeah.
on
have him on Potter Watch.
Exactly. And have him on
that'd be
Potter
so
Watch
good.
Of, like, you know, even though he's like, he survived, he brought my son's body back. We were able to have a funeral. Like, he's always trying to do the right thing, even if he's just a kid type of thing.
Or he opens up a competitor to Potter Watch in like a true crime series and calls it Diggory Watch.
Oh my God, it sounds like my high school all over again.
That needs to be Patreon content. The explanation of that someday, my guy.
Okay, so all my Patreon content is just tell you stories from my high school days at this point.
I think we really just need like an Irvin's corner, and then you just like share stories.
And then we get...
I am not opposed.
Let's do that, and then let's have Sierra's Love Corner as well.
Yes! But no, like, for Amos Diggory, so I have never been as certain of a theory as I think I was about this one. So, after Order of the Phoenix, Joe said that Fudge would no longer be minister, that we would get a new minister. And I've never been as sure of anything in my life as that it was going to be Amos Diggory. Because in the Fantastic Beasts book, right, the like little red paperback, it says that the second biggest department at the Ministry of Magic is the Care of Magical Creatures department regulation and control of magical creatures, and Amos is the head of it. So I was like, so this little spin-off book says that Amos is head of the second biggest department in the ministry, and Joe says we're getting a new minister, and like, you know, the new minister can't be someone totally helpful to Harry, right?
Yeah.
Like, just story-wise, we can't have that. So like, it needs to be someone who, like, you know, has a complicated relationship with Harry, and I was like, so 300% convinced that Amos was going to be the minister, and like, when we found out it was Scrimgeour, I was like, who?
See, that's such a much better theory than the one that I was 100% behind, which was Ron was the half-blood prince, because he mentioned that one time that a cousin of his was a muggle, and then I was like, oh my god, Molly is a secret muggle, and she pretended to be pureblood because she was so scared, and it turns out her husband's a huge muggle nerd, and she just won't tell him because she doesn't want to be lambasted by interview questions for the rest of her life.
Wow.
That's a take.
It was, and it got so much views on one of the Harry Potter websites when I wrote it up as a fan theory. I felt proud for like 2 seconds, and then people shit on my idea.
Yeah.
As they will.
Oh, dude, when I had my first essay published on MuggleNet when I was 15, it was the proudest moment of my life. I like told everyone I knew, and people were like, "Wait, you got a what published where?" Well, what's a MuggleNet? Because like I was telling people who've like never read Harry Potter, I was like, I got my essay published on the MuggleNet.
Amazing.
There's a net, and you use it to catch muggles?
Yes, that's exactly it.
What is a moogle?
And how do you catch?
Is there something special about this net?
Is this a Final Fantasy website? With all the Moogles, right? You catch them? Yeah, okay, that sounds fun. I'll read about Cloud.
Yep, checks out.
Oh, good. Okay, who else isn't there? Oh!
You know who else isn't there?
Our landlady.
Our landlady.
Yes.
The iconic, the legendary, the fashionable
The buxom.
Madame Rosmerta. which we had an excellent episode all about Madame Rosmerta a few months back. So I highly encourage y'all to listen to episode 26 for that. But, like, that's a weird one, right? Like,
Yeah.
how could Madame Rosmerta not be there?
She's pretending to be under Draco's Imperious Curse again. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Malfoy got me again, and I just couldn't come up there.
I feel like this is one of the... I feel like this is one of those people from the village came up to help, and they just it was just never specified who they were.
Yeah, I agree. I think she's definitely there.
But I do
Same.
feel like she's so obvious that it should have been mentioned. Should she have been there? But also, I mean, we'll get into this later, but there's a number drop of how many dead, and we don't know who they all are. So, like...
How dare you, Sierra?
What?
You did not just imply that Madame Rosmerta died.
Insinuating that our
I'm
landlord
saying,
is dead.
if we don't even know who the dead people are, how are we supposed to know who all the alive ones are as well?
All right.
Like, if there's that many people that we can say, and 50 others, and not name names, like, there's I'm sure a lot more people who are at the battle that are just specifically not mentioned. And I feel like while the other ones that we've discussed already and the ones that we will continue to talk about are probably not actually there and really not mentioned because they are not there,
Madame Rosmerta's there.
I feel like Madame Rosmerta could have been one of those ones that just slipped through the cracks of she is there, but we just don't have
It'd
a
be
specific mention.
really brutal if the other 50 was just like Rowling's intern could not find all the names of 50 people that Harry knew. So the intern just like wrote in there and 50 others, but Rowling was going to be like, and Madame Rosmerta and Aberforth's pet goat and Winky and like, and just like list everybody that Harry's ever known. Tom the barman's dead. Like it would be brutal.
Yeah.
But also from a, like, you know, poetic standpoint, right? Like, after Rosmerta was, victimized by Draco, like, made into an unwitting accomplice, put under the Imperious Curse, I think it actually, like, would have been really good, and I feel like was kind of needed to see her fighting, and, like, see her reclaim her agency and fight back against that.
That would have been really neat.
So.
Instead, she's at home crocheting in front of the fire to being like, I did my part last year.
I don't blame her for that.
You're team at home, Tiffany?
Oh, I am team, you can have that fight. I'm over here.
Yeah, I mean, fair. Like, I'm a lover, not a fighter, so...
Also, PTSD. You got me once, I'm a hide over here where you can't find me again.
Typical Slytherins. It's fine.
Hey!
Wait, do we have...
Madame Rosmerta a Slytherin?
100%. She's an ambitious landowner who evicts people very casually and also is ambitious and not afraid to use
and also
her feminine
looks
ways.
great.
Yes. That's another way of putting that. Wait, do we have all 4 houses on here? Sierra, I'm so sorry. Remind me of your house. Is it the Cruffleduffs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm
The what
never
now?
mind. I forgot.
He said
what?
Cruffleduff. It's fine.
Oy.
I have a whole essay out there not calling Hufflepuffs by their actual Hufflepuff name.
It's like Benedict.
All right, but yes,
Yeah.
we do have the 4 houses here.
No.
I will rep Ravenclaw today.
Oh, you will? Okay. Great. Lovely.
Yes.
So, in your Ravenclaw experience, now, do you hate Hufflepuffs? Sorry.
No, I love Hufflepuffs. We're the forgotten houses. We're just like, you Gryffindors and Slytherins are both exhausting.
Hufflepuff have a dead man named Cedric. You guys got Luna, who's one of the most popular people in the series. Don't get me forgotten with Ravenclaw roping themselves in there.
She's one of the most popular in the series, but she's not one of the most popular at school.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
nice.
and she's not even in more than half the books.
Oh, I see. Forgotten in terms of the way in which they're perceived within the series. Not forgotten in terms of Ravenclaw has representation that Hufflepuff cannot sniff during the 7 books. Which is why there's a whole play called Puffs, which is excellent, and I've definitely read/seen.
It's okay, you're a Gryffindor. I wouldn't expect you to read.
Oh, I'm an English teacher, you punk.
Wow.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, the podcast about the movies Harry Potter. That's all I can talk about. Movieisms.
Oh god. Can you imagine?
Irvin, tell me about your fascination with cats.
Okay, well, first of all, I don't like cats. They make me sneeze. But I very much think that the pets of Hogwarts...
Okay, Hagrid.
You're fired.
I'm just saying, that's a direct quote.
Yeah,
I don't like
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
You quoted your least favorite character so hardcore. Okay, Hagrid is this podcast's term of okay boomer now.
Honestly, I would rather be called a boomer.
Wow.
Mind you, I have been called a boomer.
Okay, Hagrid.
I hate you all. Except Tiffany. That's it. Hey, you know what? You're both fired. Tiffany's replacing you.
Oh. Okay.
All right,
You're promoted. Congrats.
Let's have a moment of silence for Sierra and I, and then Tiffany, you take it away.
Okay. Sierra,
Well.
what am I doing?
Well, moving past the impudence of my co-host, let's talk about the pets of Hogwarts
Yes.
and what they should have been doing during the battle. I want all of the pets to just fully swoop in and have at it. So, the way I picture it, very vividly, I want an army of cats led by a ferocious Crookshanks to just go meow and claw the Death Eater's eyes out. And after that, Mrs. Norris would naturally swoon and fall madly in love with Crookshanks, and then she would become sweet and loving because all she needed was the love of a good cat. And then Filch is left all lonely and heartbroken, and you can stop my feline fanfiction anytime.
No, it's
No,
going to
keep
keep
going.
going.
I just want to hear more, man. What are you talking about? You, for somebody who hates cats, you love them.
Filch won't be alone.
I'm pretty sure all the cats just eat Filch.
Who does he got?
He has Madame Pince.
No,
Yes, but she's grieving the loss of her son.
who?
Snape.
No, Pince, not Prince. Is this some
Same person.
Is this some cracked up theory of yours? Is that
What?
Madame Pince is
Fan
actually
fiction.
Have you
Severus,
never heard this?
Severus Snape's
Wait, have
mother?
you never heard this? Seriously?
No.
No.
So Irma Pince, if you rearrange the letters, spells I'm a prince.
Oh my god.
Like, there was a hugely popular theory back in the day that Madame Pince was actually Eileen Prince.
I love that, and very much changes Snape's behavior at school so much, where he's just coming and being berated by his mother every 6 days for how he treats students.
Yes.
She treats them just as poorly.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
maybe not just as.
Not just
But
as.
she treats them pretty poorly
Yeah.
as well.
And she also has the hooked nose, and she also bugs out when she sees Harry with the Half-Blood Princess textbook. I wrote this up for the Harry Potter lexicon in the Lexicon Minute, so I will drop a link.
great.
Okay. It also explains Snape's behavior when Harry has Quidditch Through the Ages outside.
Mm-hmm. But yes, okay, so that's the cats, right? But then the owls swoop in through the skies. The skies darken, despite it being night. Yes. And I'm just picturing the owls pelting all the Death Eaters with droppings, and they're led by Pigwidgeon, who is screaming just like Creature in the battle, "Poop! Poop! Poop for my master, feeder of owls! Poop on the Dark Lord in the name of brave Hedwig! Poop!"
So you're really into this idea of all the Death Eaters being mildly inconvenienced?
Yes! Because every little bit matters in a battle.
The ghosts, they've made me cold. Oh no, I have a cat trying to climb up my leg. Oh, Avada Kedavra that, throw that one to an acromantula. Oh no, I've been pooped on.
Isn't it just like a Gryffindor to diminish the efforts of people who are less flashy in their bravery?
It's much more of the Gryffindor to be chivalrous and say the animals don't need to be there. We've got this. They went fine without the animals.
Okay, to be fair to the cats and the owls and everything, the house elves run out. And it says, they were hacking and stabbing at the ankles and shins of Death Eaters, their tiny faces alive with malice. And everywhere Harry looked, Death Eaters were folding under sheer weight of numbers.
So, Sierra, are you...
Bam!
The former Powell, and now Obermark, comparing pets, which are a domesticated animal that belong to people, to house elves? Which are a sentient being that have speech.
I am comparing claws and talons to tiny knives.
Yes. At what point are the owls going to realize that they don't have any mail and that their Avada Kedavra spells, they don't know how to dodge because they're not that bright
they absolutely do know how to dodge, okay? Ever since Hedwig died, all the owls have been practicing their formation flying every night.
Telekinesis. Hedwig was able to sense that Harry needed presents in France. Hedwig is not the person that you can put up there and go, look, all owls, yes, all owls like that.
No, but all the owls spent a year practicing their formations so they wouldn't get hit by killing curses.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying, I don't want to see hordes of kittens being devoured by the Acromantula.
Whereas, I wouldn't mind that
They
much.
can stay inside.
The Acromantula.
Okay. They can fight the Death Eaters inside the castle.
Oh, I thought you meant the kids stay inside the Acromantula.
Not stuffing creatures in other creatures. It's wizards and dragons. Not putting cats inside of spiders.
Just back in the
Trojan Acromantula. Oh my god, it's spitting cats.
I need a cat gun. Just someone with a huge cannon just shooting cats out of it.
That might be
attached to the faces.
That might be the title of the episode, Sierra. I need a cat gun. Oh my god. Okay, so we did cats. We did owls. You got any rats or toads there?
Well, okay, the toads I'm admittedly struggling a bit. The role of cats and owls in this battle is so obvious. With the toads, I don't quite know what the toads would do. They could give Voldemort warts. But I am convinced that Trevor would be a Bamf leading those toads into battle to do whatever it is they're going to do.
I mean, Trevor has swallowed enough potions in his day. He's probably immune to most things.
Why didn't he spit them out?
Yes, oh my god, all the Death Eaters just keep casting Avada Kedavra at Trevor, and he's like, yeah, what?
Just spits it back at them.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? You know what I bet they're doing? This is how I would do it. If I was Hagrid, I would go to the chicken coops and grab all the eggs and just have the toads around a corner sitting on top of them as they hatch into little basilisks. So as a horde of Death Eaters round the corner, they just all be killed by the stares of newborn basilisk. Because it's so easy to create a basilisk.
I mean, I've heard worse plans.
Yeah, that's great. I mean...
Oh, well done, Sam. We figured it out.
Thanks. I actually contributed once. The other thing I was going to say is maybe this is the one time that the creatures want to be swallowed, and it just they kill Death Eaters by suffocating, by toads jamming themselves down their throats. But I like my other plan better.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe let's step away from the swallowing, just for a bit.
Okay. Speaking of creatures that swallow, Fox swallowed a killing curse one time.
He did.
He did. So Fox isn't at the Battle of Hogwarts, right? And this is the one where I'm actually really glad he isn't, because again, if it was epic fantasy, then Fox comes back to Harry one last time, and like I think
the same size as Norbert.
Yes, exactly. And like I think it actually would have been really beautiful if, like, you know, when Harry's faith in Dumbledore is restored at the end of Deathly Hallows, because that's been such a huge arc throughout the 7th book, that's when Fawkes returns. Like, I feel like that actually would have been really sweet, and I would have liked it, but that would have definitely undermined his departure in Half-Blood Prince. Like, I think the part where Fawkes leaves in Half-Blood Prince is so powerful.
Yeah.
Like, and because it's permanent.
Right.
Like, you know, like reading Deathly Hallows and then going back and reading Half Prince, you're like, oh damn, he really did leave forever. Like, oh, it's so good. So like, I'm curious, where do you guys come down on that?
I am 100% the fact that like I don't think Fox should come in, especially given what we find out in the Fantastic Beasts movies. Like, Fox is only there for a Dumbledore, and so the Phoenixes only come for a Dumbledore. So I think it fits very well with the lore that we get later. So there's no retconning, and also Fox is a little bit of a cheat code, right? It's a little bit of convenience that Fox is not there, because a little bit like with time turners, like Phoenix tears are really powerful, and like, oh well, why don't we just like hang Fox up in the tent and squeeze out the tears as much as we can and bottle them? Like, I'm glad that none of that's happening.
Good point.
Yeah, I feel like if Fox was there, then it would have just been foxes versus dragons, and it would have subtracted from the entire battle.
Harry Potter and Fox versus dragons.
Exactly. Like, it wasn't about the animals. It was about the battle. Like, it would have been cool, but would have subtracted from Joe's narrative.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Sierra, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that... I think that the departure needed to stay as it was. The only one exception I might make is that instead of the Sorting Hat magically flying through the window by itself to land at Voldemort's feet, that maybe Fox has one more moment of bringing the Sorting Hat and dropping it to Neville. But that's like maybe the one exception I would give, but I still think it's better this way. I don't like that the Sorting Hat just flies by itself out of a window, but
no, it doesn't. Voldemort summons it.
Oh, he summons it. Okay. I think I always just like miss that part because he waves his wand and then out of it comes the Sorting Hat.
That'd be wild if it just flew itself over. Just flap, 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 flap.
Right, the Sorting Hat is like, here I go!
I reread all these chapters about the battle like 6 times in the last couple days, and I literally every single time I was like, it just flies out of the window.
Sierra, and it's so funny because you're normally such a careful reader and you second guess yourself when things are when you're like, that's a stupid thought, let me go back and re-look at that. And this is the funniest thing for you to have not gone back and checked up. Just flap, 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 flap.
So towards the end, and I was really focused on like the people involved and everything, that it just wasn't one of those things I was really paying attention to because it does say like a misshapen bird. And so in my head I was like, oh, like a different bird. like drops it, and so I just kind of just moved on.
I mean, it's an emotionally draining thing to read.
Yes, and I was rereading it, and I was like, oh my gosh, and then just trying to keep track of all the people and who is in what section.
I so admire your dedication, genuinely, because that's a lot to read through that.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's so heavy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've only even read it once cover to cover.
Deathly Hallows? Ugh.
Yeah.
It's worth a reread for sure.
Oh yeah. I need to circle back.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I only ever read the whole series all together. I never was one of those folks who could pick up a random book.
Oh, I can't do it. Yeah, I can't just pick up order.
Yeah, no way, no how. And not just because the thing's 900 pages and weighs more than I do. But so whenever I read that part in Deathly Hallows, it is always after reading like 6 3/4 books, and I am just like emotionally done.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the exact thing for me.
Yeah, it was actually a big struggle when I was working on my Dumbledore book, because like the King's Cross conversation that they have is so integral to, you know, understanding everything, and I kept being like, all right, like stealing myself, like, okay, just open it to those pages and just look up what you need to look up, like don't dive in. Like, it's tough.
Yeah, it is. It's really hard.
It's a heavy read.
Guys, you know what else is tough is wizard-goblin relations.
Oh man, so tough.
Yeah, so in, like, goblins are kind of the odd ones out when it comes to all the magical beings. Like, in so many ways, the Battle of Hogwarts, like, it unites all of these disparate, like, magical beings from all these walks of life against Voldemort. Like, we have the giants and the house elves and the centaurs and the thestrals and you know, like, everyone who's anyone is there. But there's a glaring omission, like, more glaring because of the Fountain of Magical Brethren, who, like, gave us these 3, the centaurs, the house elves, the goblins. And the only thing that keeps that fountain from becoming a reality during the battle, I mean, quasi-reality without the slavish looks of admiration, is the goblins. The goblins are not in the Battle of Hogwarts, and that's because they had a bit of a dust-up with, you know, Harry Potter, like 12 hours before this all happens.
He broke into their bank.
This is another... I'm going to keep harping on about this theme of, like, Harry Potter not being epic fantasy, but, like, if it were, like, all the epic fantasies, 100% there would be, like, at least one quote-unquote good goblin, hate that, like, joining in the fight, like, you know, to, like, represent, like, that the goblins are good too, but I like this so much more because it's so heartbreakingly realistic, that even in the face of something like Voldemort, like, you can't just put everything aside, and, like, some grudges will fester, and, like, God, that's a bummer, but it also is the way the world works.
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting thinking about, like, in the early 2000s, right, the Harry Potter was starting up as a movie franchise, and Lord of the Rings was winning all these awards, and you think about, like, the epic fantasy battles of Lord of the Rings, like the Helm's Deep battle, where the elves show up, these sort of not quite frenemies of men show up to help out. And, like, the fact that we don't get a moment of, like, the goblins all clad in goblin armor, which we've been hearing about for almost all of the series, and with all these weapons ready to fight as a show of camaraderie. And instead what we get is, like, goblins essentially being like, this is a wizard problem, we aren't doing anything, I think lends itself well to how not tropish Harry Potter can be at times.
Mm-hmm. It's a really good book series, y'all. Like,
turns out.
Yeah.
Versus, I wish mermaids had been there.
Yeah, I do too. I think that's a logistics one. They're like, you know, the mermaids are going to, like, stick their heads out of the lake and yell, and that's about
a bit
all
of the
they can
Aquaman
do.
problem. Just come over to the water. Come on, I'll fight you here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's kind of like Percy Jackson. They're like, hey, so you want to have our big fight, like, right here on the beach? Like, no, 20 feet that way on the beach, closer to the water. Yeah, let's have our big fight right there.
Well, I mean, I guess one way, I mean, their voices are, like, kind of, like, screaming above the water. So, like, from
An army
terrorize them
inconvenience.
through sound type of thing.
Yeah, very much into the mildly inconveniencing everybody.
I mean,
If we
there's
hit
a reason why these specific people and characters and types of creatures are not in the battle.
It's just, if we hit them with claws and poop and screaming and cold,
Definitely the poop.
we'll get them. We'll get them, guys.
Death by 1,000 screams.
They're already on the grounds. I mean, it's not like they're shipping mermaids in from somewhere else to fight. They're already there.
like, they're there, they want to participate.
It feels like the giant squid could have done a little damage, and maybe did, but I don't know how long the giant squid can reach out, but I'm sure it snatched a couple of deathies.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it also just depends on, like, specifically where on the ground, because it does sound like things are a little bit closer to the forest than the lake. So,
Yeah.
I guess we don't know the exact dimensions of the grounds and whatnot. Obviously, if we're going by, like, the movie, the lake is kind of everywhere, and I feel like it would be hard to have
It's at every angle of the
near
castle.
the lake.
In fact, the castle is underwater. That's how much the lake is everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a mention that they also are not. We do talk to them, and they are not there.
Do you also know who is not there?
A very few Hogwarts students.
Including
like, very
Not.
few. Like, everyone is there, really.
Not is not. Not is not.
Not is not. Not is not.
Yeah, so I think the one Hogwarts student that I really kind of would have expected there, and who wasn't, is Theodore Nott, our hopefully apostate Slytherin.
So this is all subtext, but I think it's very clear subtext in the Deathly Hallows. Creature, ever since Harry hasn't returned to 12 Grimmauld Place, has been on a serial killer spree of all the Death Eater kids at Hogwarts, killing basically just only Nott before he and Winky fall in love, providing Harry and Ginny a wedding present of a very much free and not a slave elfling that Harry names Dobby the Bludger That Almost Killed Me Potter.
Yeah, sure.
Huh?
But that about sums it up.
You said it.
Somebody's had too much butterbeer.
You cannot deny that if Harry was provided a little elfling by Creature, that he would have named him Dobby the Bludger That Almost Killed Me Potter, though.
Dobby, maybe. The bludger that almost killed me? No.
100%.
It would have been...
Dobby
no, because he
Hedwig.
names it after all the people he lost, so it would be Dobby Hokey Potter.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Okay.
God. Oh, boy.
Yeah. So, the actual subtext when it comes to Nott is that basically his father, who was an OG Death Eater, was not treated well in the Department of Mysteries. Basically, he gets severely injured, and Lucius is like, leave him, the Dark Lord won't care. And we never see Nott Sr. in Death Eater service again. And, so presumably the injuries were serious, because he old. And we also never see Theodore Nott, like the kid, ever again. We never see him hanging out with Draco and his Death Eater buddies. And so I think that there was sort of a bit of an offstage story happening where Theodore Nott was like, hey, so my dad was a faithful Death Eater for 50 years and he was just treated like crap. So, like, I'm not a big fan of what's happening here. So I think sort of if we were going to get an apostate Slytherin, and I kind of would have preferred we did, to put the anti-Slytherin bias a little bit to the side, I think Theodore Nott should have and would have been that apostate Slytherin.
Yes. I agree with that.
Is there an anti-Slytherin bias? I'm not aware of one.
No, you wouldn't be. Tiffany, you're the Slytherin. Like, what's your 2 cents on this?
I don't know about an apostate Slytherin, but one of the first things that came to my mind is just how many students didn't come back for this book. So, like, so many students were held back by their parents. So that just feels like a situation where it could have been like, oh, you know what? We're just going to put you in Durmstrang. Like, we're going to transfer.
They've got a new headmaster over at Durmstrang, and he's much better.
Yeah.
Which, they would have done because they made Hogwarts compulsory for all, like, school-age kids in Deathly Hallows. So, yeah, like, whoever didn't show up, like, they're, off in Durmstrang.
Or Beauxbaton.
Yeah.
Or even
Or
Ilvermorny.
Cold of Storits.
Yeah.
Yeah, about Theodore Knott specifically, I am all for him being the goody two-shoes of the Slytherins and for changing everything and for being the best person ever, but I may also have read a little too much fan fiction recently. And if anybody does read fan fiction, our lovely Knott, it does tend to be a favorite. And especially if you're reading any Draco redemptive stuff, he's usually a big part of that, and a big reason why Draco is not all bad all the time, and also is amazing and hilarious. And basically because he's so not in canon so much, you can basically write him however you want, and it's amazing because he's fabulous every time. So I don't know that I can accurately comment on him because I am slightly biased, because I also just literally last night finished a fan fiction where I was like, he is my favorite and I love him so much. Even though he's a psychopathic Death Eater who changes for love, but that's fine.
Sierra, so we can't play this at the pub's jukebox because, only after hours. But one of my favorite Wizard Rockers had a side project called Slash Fiction.
Oh, gosh.
Where they played all songs based on their Draco Knott fanfiction. Oh, the best one, in my opinion, is called Obvious Desperate Need, which is why we will not be playing it at the jukebox. But do take a gander on the internet.
Yes. Writing it down right now. Yes. Dromyone is a great reads. Great reads.
Yeah,
great
I've
reads.
seen those.
Draco, Knott, Hermione. Yeah. Moving on.
Talk of obvious desperate needs. Romilda Vane is also missing at the Battle of Hogwarts. Which,
Romilda.
She is underage.
Probably not. Wait, no,
Yeah.
yes, she is. Sorry,
100%.
because she's 2 years younger.
She's excused slightly.
Yes.
Because she is underage, and so technically speaking, they were all excused because McGonagall did say that only students of age could stay and fight, although we know that that does not end up being true. R.I.P. Colin.
Sierra, you had a real Emperor's New Groove energy for she's excused as if she's the cow.
Maybe excused.
I've been turned into a cow. May I go home?
May I?
You may.
You're excused.
Anyone else? No, we're good.
Yeah. Come on, men. Nobody lives forever.
Ah!
Yeah.
Are
Well,
the
so
odds
talk of...
that trapdoor would leave me out here. Sorry, I can literally quote that entire movie, so I will stop now
Because
that
it's
happens.
perfect.
Is that my voice?
Listeners just fast forwarding as you said you stopped.
They're like, 10 minutes in. Oh, nope, they're still reciting that movie.
Best Village Puffs.
Yeah. So if Romilda were at the battle, which, I mean, we're not mad that she isn't, I imagine that she would just be, offering Death Eaters a refreshing beverage because they've been fighting so hard. And then it turns out it's a love potion! Boom!
Gross.
I know. Listen, fight fire with fire.
Yeah, Romilda's veins fire.
If she could brew the potions that she did, love potions, she certainly has other potion talents.
Oh, she didn't brew it, though. She bought it at Weasley Wizard
Brought it from
Weasels.
the Weasleys.
Yeah,
Oh, dang
it's
it.
Fred and George that got everybody in love with Ron.
Ah, the irony. Yeah. But okay, someone who is overage and could have been there. Susan Bones, the sole surviving bone.
I'm fairly convinced that when she's in the room of requirement with all of Neville's gang, that she sleeps a little too close to the venomous tentacular and is throttled.
No, because we need someone from that family to make it out alive.
No. It's really it mirrors how all of the Marauders died and how I don't know where I'm going with this. Yep. She dies. That's it. It's canon now. I
No.
said it.
Well, it's definitely not canon, according to Puffs.
Which is
Sam,
so canonical.
Sam, go make yourself a cup of tea for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sierra, Tiffany, y'all are familiar with Puffs, yes?
Familiar, yes, but I haven't seen it.
So I'm at that level. May I be unexcused?
Fine. All right.
He has not been turned into a cow. Can he stay?
I have not been turned into a cow. Can I stay on the podcast?
Fine. Sam, you are unexcused. But
Everyone lives for a limited amount of time.
so, spoiler alert for Puffs, and like really spoiler alert, like this is, kind of the end of the show. But I actually think this is so great about, like giving us a sense for what students who were off screen were doing. So here are the answers for how the Hufflepuffs in Harry's year fared. Susie Bones, she gets to use one of my most desired spells. Like, I wish this was real, because when she sees an Acromantula, she casts Extermios! And God, I want that spell.
Yeah.
But more importantly, she finally does away with her fatalistic outlook on life and accepts that she is a survivor. She's gonna make it. And yes, this is why I'm so convinced that Susie Bones outlives them all.
Cue music. I'm a survivor. No, not that song.
Yes.
Don't give up.
I'm not gonna stop it. I'm gonna work hard. Yeah, she's a Hufflepuff. She is gonna work harder.
Good.
Yeah.
So
Good.
true.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Hannah Abbott, who is also canonically missing in the battle.
No, she is not.
Wait.
She's seen with Fred
Wait,
and Lee
you're
Jordan
right,
guarding
you're
a secret
right.
passageway, and Harry helps her after the forest. Voldemort almost kills her.
You are correct. You are correct. Hannah is there. But in Puffs, in addition to being there, instead of being bullied, she gets to bully a Death Eater. And it's lovely. Yeah. Ernie Mac, who is definitely in the battle, that we remember, in Puffs, he finally makes a connection with JFF for a side of Mac and Finch. And I think that this gives Ron and Hermione's epic kiss a run for its money, because just it is the most romantic part in that show.
Cute.
Run for money is a strong it's a strong word there.
You haven't seen it, so you can't talk.
I could and can. What you've described as a logical fallacy, but I will, under the precipice that you are my boss, remain quiet.
Yeah. And talk of Jay Finch, he sacrifices himself for his true love.
Ernie?
Yes.
Are we sure that his first name isn't really Bert?
Listen, we can't be sure about anything.
Tell me about Zacharias.
Yes. Well, I mean, this is kind of the tenor of this specific episode of our podcast. But Zach Smith comes back to school, and that's just notable because he gets to yell, "Zach Smith came back to school! Zach Smith came!"
Good.
Wow.
Good.
All right.
Yeah.
Good for Zach Smith.
Yeah. It is. He seemed very happy about it.
I mean,
Sierra, you've murdered me. It was a little bit of laughter in your voice.
Oh, we're gonna need to put like a parental advisory on this episode.
This episode is bad, guys.
Is this episode? Patrick, you can put this right up at the top. This episode is not suitable for children.
But no, so like the great thing about Puffs and what it does so well is that, kind of like what Deathly Hallows does so well, is that it brings all of its characters' arcs full circle. Like I talked about all these endings, like they're so meaningful within the play just because, we've been in it, we've been invested. And that also applies for the OG characters, like the original Puffs in the play, where like you had to do a lot more work to make the audience care as much, but like every single one of them gets it. Like, Sally's struggle with the glasses is finally wrapped up. Leanne finally discovers her power. Oliver gets to finally use math, inspiring my last birthday outfit, which, Patreon story. And Megan accepts that she's a puff, and it's beautiful, and Xavier Jones realizes that the people in the hoods and the masks were wrong, and Bippy, the house elf, does a good job. But I think the most powerful part of Puffs is Wayne, who's, the lead in Puffs, realizing that even if he's not the protagonist of the war, like, he matters. That, like, what he does, like, the battle that he fought, even if it's not part of this huge epic story that's going to be told, or, throughout Wizarding World history, like, that what he did is important and it matters to someone. And I feel like that's what Puffs is so good at, is it drives home the point that, like, even if you're not the chosen one or, the lead character in this battle, like, all these people fighting the war, they matter, even if they don't really merit a mention in Harry's story. Hence this episode.
Sorry, who are these people?
The Puffs!
From what play?
Sam, you know that I'm coming to San Francisco in November, right? So I will be in your city to smack you in person. Just so you are aware, I have my flights booked.
I will, with trembling fright, turn on Puffs the night before just to make sure I've seen it before you come and see me.
Yes, because if not, guess what? We are spending our quality time watching Puffs.
Just filming it for Patreon on a camera as I have a sporting black eye.
Yeah. Be like, weird how that happened.
Ice pack to my forehead.
So, that's the Hogwarts students. It's not a very long section because they were all there.
Groups, the people who weren't there, though, that have to do with the Hogwarts students, is their parents. I'm sorry. If I'm a parent of a Hogwarts student at this time, knowing what's going on, knowing that my students, it's compulsory for them to be at the school, I'm keeping tabs. Like, I'm knowing what's going on. And I'm sorry, but if Percy knows what's going on, a parent can know. If Neville's grandmother knows what's going on, another parent can know.
But,
like,
listen,
where are the parents?
But they
Sierra,
show up. Sierra, they, like, that's who comes with Charlie and Slughorn. Like, they're leading the charge of, like, every Hogwarts parent and, Hogsmeade shopkeeper. That's what it says.
Parents been this whole time. Why did they show up so late?
Harry didn't send out save the dates. We've been over this.
No, but what I'm saying is Neville's grandmother shows up, like,
early.
She was
So
probably
early.
still awake that late, though.
Yeah, Sierra, these are
grandmother.
British people.
She's
They all
on
went to bed
cocaine.
at 10 p.m.
Versus Neville's grandma does coke and is just wide awake. Listen, I think, Sierra, as the non-parent, it is my obligation, nay, my duty, to mansplain to the parent that you don't always know when your children are in
We've never been teenagers.
Nope.
no. Okay, yeah, true. The families and friends do show up. But, okay, I guess maybe what I wanted was more of them to be, like, named and, like, shown with their kid. Like,
I thought you said maimed.
and, like, fighting alongside them. Like, like, I want to see, like, Lavender Brown is of unknown circumstance. Where are her parents? Like, her parents should have found her. Like,
Also
I want to
unknown.
see, like, but that's the thing is, like, I want to see, like, parent-children, like, reunions, not just like, hey, the family and friends showed up.
Well, but it says that when they're in the Great Hall after the battle, that, like, everywhere Harry looked, families were being reunited, and it's all sweet.
Yeah, I know. I want more of that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally looking and I'm like, this is the end of the book.
Yeah.
Like, this is the very end. So it's literally like 2 sentences that are mentioned. And it's like, I feel like it kind of goes back to the whole international magical cooperation and like bringing all these people in. Like, at what point, like, I want more of like an impact of not just like Harry being like, hey, look, families, but like, this person is like tending to their parents' wounds, and like this person like is hugging their sister, or like I want more of like that, because also I feel like this would explain more the Fallen 50, because it literally says that it names 3 people and then says and 50 others who died.
Is it going to be a attendance list?
Well, but you have to imagine, though, that unfortunately, a lot of these Fallen 50 are probably the family and friends of the students. So, like, I don't know. I just feel like there should be slightly more emphasis on it. If this was a different type of book, this is another, like, if this was a different type of book, we would get hey, they put up a wall with all the names, and we'd get a picture of what that wall with all the names would be.
I feel like that would have been satisfactory, like, to have, like, a mural on the back page of the book to just be like, like, these are the fallen wizards and witches that, like...
That would be great.
Or like a brick for every name of a fallen witch or wizard in the, like, something like that would have been cool, but I also feel like it was beyond what Joe was doing at the time.
Or a candle up in the Great Hall. A candle lit for everybody in the Great Hall.
I love that too.
My concern with... I like it more as... I would like that much better as the epilogue than the one that we got. But
Amen.
My fears in the moment of that is that if you soak too much attention into everyone outside of Harry's nucleus, that we would start to lose a very firm focus on Harry and his particular story. So, like, it would be more compelling if, like, we have Teddy the baby being delivered and having to say goodbye to mom and dad there, where we know those characters. But I don't know if we see, like, Lavender Brown's mom, Rose hand soap scented Brown, crying over her daughter.
But Xenophilius Lovegood.
Boo! He's the worst.
But he's not there. He loves Luna with all of his heart.
But he's still captured. Like, they have to go and break him out.
You wouldn't think that they would... Okay, I'm sorry. Speaking from, like, a Death Eater perspective, there's no way they didn't bring their captives to this battle to be like, haha, look, we have your people.
I don't think they did. Who has the time?
They didn't do it,
behind
but
bars.
I feel like that's very in the vein of what a Death Eater would do. Like,
right.
I feel like Voldemort would very much be of the mindset of, like, yes, trot out the captives. These are the people that we have. Give us Harry, or we'll start killing them. Like, I feel like that's a very Death Eater Voldemort thing to have included. Maybe it's a little dark for this book.
But even if it was really easy to break out because all the Death Eaters are reporting at Hogwarts, you gotta know that Xenophilius Lovegood is just sitting in his cell, rattling his cup against the bars in a rhythm and singing while his cell door is literally unlocked and open because he doesn't know any better.
I mean, he might be a few marbles shy.
Yeah.
I really like that your first reaction to Xenophilius was just, boo, he's the worst, as if you're like a fan of the podcast just throwing peanuts at Sierra.
No, so, Sarah, I'm going to push back and actually agree with Sam, because, I mean, you know, it had to happen eventually. So, do you have any specific parents in mind other than Xeno, who, you know, has an excuse? Because I feel like what Sam was saying, we're keeping it on Harry and the people he knows. The reason that so many characters, you know, are there is not because Harry's, like, you know, getting to know them or, like, spending a lot of emotional energy on them. It's just that we know the names. He's like, oh, look, Ernie's running by. Oh, look, Hannah's there. So in terms of parents he knows that, like, or that we know enough to recognize.
Yeah.
Everyone's covered. Like, the Weasleys are there, Mrs. Longbottom is there, the Malfoys are there. So are there any specific, like, characters that you think should have been there but weren't, or do you just want, like, overall more parental involvement?
Well, I think a little bit of both. So some parents that I do think should have been there. I think Seamus's mom should have been there. They have their whole blow up where she convinces him that Harry's no good, and then he convinces her that he's actually like a good person. That could have been a nice moment. Her
Touché.
looking over, holding Seamus, looking over at Harry, giving him a nod of like, it's okay, I understand type of, I'm sorry I judged you.
I mean,
that could have been a good one.
So we get that arc with Seamus himself, not with his mother, which ties into the whole, like, the next generation is doing it better and getting it right. But I hear what you're saying.
I'm afraid that if we meet too many people that Harry's just meeting for the first time right now, it would rob the story of its ability to have a meaningful impact for that particular character. Like, I know that there's a little bit of an arc, but I think that arc, as Irvin is saying, is sufficed with Seamus rather than his meeting mom for the first time right now. I just feel like I really like with so much with Harry Potter, there's so much time where we're like, I would have loved this thing to be added and this thing to be added and this thing to be added. And all the time I feel like when we come back to it, it's like, no, for like the story, it would be better. But I would love to have a list. Like, I really would like to see the whole list of who was there, who died and everything. I just don't need it in the book in this moment right now. Yeah.
Like, I would almost love, like, a sort of... did you guys ever watch Pokemon Chronicles?
Yes.
A bit.
Yeah. So it was like this spin-off, like, one season thing where, Ash meets, like, a new character every single episode. And obviously we can't, like, check in with all of them because there's 1,200 of them by now. So Pokemon Chronicles just took a few of them and was like, hey, this is what Richie was up to, like, when he met Lugia. And, like, this is what happened when Misty returned to her hometown. And I would love sort of that for the Battle of Hogwarts. Like, I would love if Joe released, like, sort of an anthology of stories of the, like, here's what so-and-so was up to during the Battle of Hogwarts.
Yeah, here's how... Teddy Tonks' grandmother took the news about Lupin and Tonks, and here's how Hermione went and found her parents in Australia and brought their memories back, and like that would all of that would rock.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like the fact that so many people weren't named in this book isn't necessarily the fact that it's missing. I think it's more of a fact of the focus, because if you had named all of these names and gone through all of these people, like, if you think back on traumatic events in our own lives, all of those faces become a blur.
Yeah.
Like, it's only the high notes, theoretically, the important ones, the ones that strike us, the big hitting moments that actually register in these times of crisis. And, seeing the one person that you saw that one time in the hallway, it's like, okay, you're just another person. Like, I've got bigger fish to fry. Where's this person that matters? What can I do to be helpful as opposed to kind of taking attendance? So I think it's more of a focus, but I do think that like, it would be so cool to have a Warriors of the Battle and a Fallen list. Like,
Yeah, I think that's very well put. And, like, this is obviously a very skewed perspective, like, this episode specifically, because, like, we are looking for what's missing. And, like, obviously we're not talking about all the things that aren't. And I mean... Like, I'm going to keep harping on about this, but everyone is there. Like, we check in with Cho Chang. Like, we check in with Seamus and with, Ernie Mac. And we hear about Hannah Abbott. And we hear, like, about everyone. Everyone is there. Creature shows up. And Buckbeak is there. And Grop is there. And, like, Mrs. Longbottom is there. So, yes, like, really... we are stretching to come up with the list here because she really did do a remarkably thorough job.
Yeah, for sure.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess what I was kind of envisioning maybe just works better in
Movie.
a visual format where
You can pan over the scene.
there's a yeah, exactly. Instead of like a more list type of situation, 'cause, you know, that you guys do make a good point. That would become a little tedious and a little bit like it would throw off the vibe. But if you have it as they actually have the battle with Harry and Voldemort take place inside the castle instead of off wherever the hell they were. And
Fusing in apparition.
God, kill me. So if you actually have the battle take place as the battle take place, then you have that final confrontation. Like they have a whole thing where they move his body out of there, and so it's away from the body of the fallen 50 and all the people that we care about. And if you have that, and then as they're moving it, you know, Harry is looking through the hall and sees this person with their family, this person with their family. And so you can recognize the student because you've seen them, and you can recognize the student and be like, that must be their family. You can recognize the student, that must be theirs, blah, 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 blah. You could even have professors, maybe some of their family has shown up because they can't all be single people. Even though we hear nothing about their personal lives at all, which is wild. Yeah. But again, Harry's perspective is very and so like I guess in a more like visual format, that scene that I'm envisioning would work a lot better.
Well, I think that's a good point too, because the movie does, in my opinion, and I know that they're trying to be as kid friendly as possible, even though it is a PG-13 movie. They're not trying to like hammer you over the head with all the death and loss right at the end of the movie, and they try and wrap it up fairly quickly from the battle because Harry just goes and snaps the Elder Wand and doesn't fix his own wand and throws it off the bridge. But I do think that the movie does not let you sit with the devastation. Case in point, like Fred's death moment in the movie is so glossed over, even with fantastic acting from George's actor. Because he's not really acting. He says, I literally felt like I had lost him and I kind of lost control in that scene. And I think that sort of pan over and then the focusing in on who Harry is focused on would have been really good and done that movie a little bit of a better service. Even though I love that movie to pieces, but I feel like that's one of the weaker points of that particular part of the film.
Like, it reminds me of Endgame, right? Where you have the funeral at the end and you pan over to, like, everyone who's ever been in a Marvel movie. And, like,
even the little kid from Iron Man 3.
I know, where everyone's like, who the hell is that? Like, denofgeek.com, who on earth was that kid? But, like, that would never work in a literary medium, because you can't just be like, and then, like, Steve looked over and saw everyone arrayed grieving, so-and-so, and starts listing them all off. So, yeah, it is a medium thing, but I get what you're saying, that, like, in a visual medium, that would have been fantastic to see the parents.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Well,
so I will slightly rescind my suggestion, but the idea stands.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Well, and you know who doesn't stand is the 7 ingredients of today's special, the 7 Death Eaters, who are missing from the Battle of Hogwarts.
Dun, dun, dun.
Listen, listeners, I will say before we do this, I have a couple of jokey quibs about what happens to them. I did not realize how much I had people eaten by things, so please excuse what's coming.
Oh, I realized, and I mentioned it.
Yes, and it became a thing. So, the 7 Death Eaters, who are still, like, in fighting form, like, we don't know that they got injured or killed or, whatever. Like, these are all Death Eaters who theoretically could and should be at the battle, and theoretically are, but just aren't named. We have Rabastan Lestrange.
Yeah, killed by Bellatrix and fed to Nagini.
Like, whatever happened to him? He was, like, such a thing as the 3rd Lestrange in Order of the Phoenix, and then never heard from.
Yeah, you see, when Bellatrix got pregnant by little Voldy, she just was like, what's the use of even having a husband, and murdered him. And
But we're talking about her brother-in-law.
Well,
Brothers-in-law are
that's his
still
brother.
useful.
Oh. Okay. Sorry, listeners, I'm an idiot. Okay. She thought, wait, I can save myself. She thought Rabastan was her husband, not her husband's brother.
Yeah, I read those
Saved it.
fanfics. Sure.
Super smooth. It was really, I did it really well.
Yeah. Okay, there is Avery missing from the Battle of Hogwarts. Avery is, the one always getting tortured by Voldemort, so I just think he was taking a well-deserved vacation that week. And, he's like, wait, God, I leave town for 1 week.
See, for me, Voldemort, after all that torture, just took him to the Department of Mysteries in an invisibility cloak and threw him into the brain tank.
Sam, I'm a little worried about your creativity in coming up with demises for these people.
No one
know
should
what?
be more concerned than Ron, though.
That's very true. The third missing Death Eater is Goyle Sr., and I believe that he retired to take care of his baby-headed best buddy, Crabbe Sr., who is the one who gets the baby head in the Department of Mysteries.
I'm for it.
See, both of them are just they're just the new Great British Baking Show hosts, because everyone thought that having a baby head as one of the hosts would be great.
Now I'm thinking about Great British Baking Off with that, and no.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it, but I'm not quite sold.
Yeah.
Noel was the biggest fan of this idea.
Oh, really? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we have 3 other Death Eaters who are not quite as distinct. Mulciber, Jugson, and Selwyn. And I think they were there. They were just the masked goons whom no one bothered to remark upon.
All 3 of them were definitely there. Mulciber was attacked by Buckbeak, who throws him to the spiders, who then eats him, and I feel like that is poetic justice and the best use of anybody getting eaten by a creature that I've mentioned so far.
Wait. No. Listeners, please tell us, what was Sam's best use of someone getting eaten by a creature this episode? You have such a wide selection to pick from.
I don't think there are any more coming up. I think that's pretty much the last one. For Jugson, he's turned into a jug by Hermione and given to Madame Rosmerta as a Christmas gift. Hermione always requests that jug when she goes to the pub.
And Ron gets really jealous.
Yeah, so jealous. Then Selwyn is banished to another dimension accidentally, where he becomes the first Lord Tywin, and you'll have to listen to our House of Dragons pod this summer in order to hear more about that.
Well done.
Thank you. I am nothing if not a salesman.
And the 7th Death Eater, who is mercifully not there, is the Imperious Stan Shunpike. And I like to think that he definitely was not at the battle and was just living his best life somewhere, hitting on a villa, and not having anything bad happen to him. Poor Stan.
See, I'm 100% convinced that he finally threw off the Imperious curse, and in an effort to get this villa to be into him, took her with Ernie on the night bus and protected one of the bridges by just driving back and forth on it, regardless of who's on it. So villains and heroes alike were just squashed by this magical night bus. And the inquiry into what happened is still ongoing some 26 years later.
I will say, I do think it is interesting that he isn't there, because Imperious thickness is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, like, Voldy would know that Harry and company would probably be reluctant to kill Stan, especially since that's
Seven Potters, yeah.
Yeah, in Seven Potters, that's what, makes them realize that Harry is Harry, is that he won't attack Stan seriously. And then kind of my side note to that is...
sorry, can I rebut to that?
Rebuttal first.
I don't think Voldemort is that concerned about who Harry will and will not kill. Like, I think he's so, like, numbers! I bring all my dark forces against Harry Potter. Like, I don't think he trusts to Harry's...
He's still a number.
He's a number in that case.
Barely.
Yeah, he's still a number. He
Barely.
Still
But
should be,
he yes, but 0.001 is still a number.
It is indeed.
yeah. Well, and also, so like another side note is who is still imperiousing thickness? Because I was under the impression that
Yaxley.
continuing to keep up. Okay, but Yaxley's there and he's fighting. So he's fighting and he has the concentration to keep up an Imperious curse on thickness.
Yeah.
No, see, what's happening is that thickness is just wakes up in the middle of the battle and is like, yes, I don't want to die. And just pretends to be a Death Eater and just be like, I'll tell, if we win, I'll just tell him I was Imperious.
So for the Imperious curse, I think this is a sidetrack that we will get into one day, I'm sure. But the short version is, I think for the Imperious curse, it takes concentration if you're actively making them do something. I think he actually was just like, Pious Thickness, go fight a war and kill the Hogwartians and go. And like, didn't have to focus on it anymore.
Okay, so then at the end of this, the Imperious up and down the country were awoken from their Imperious curses when Voldemort fell. Mm-hmm. So, like, what? Voldemort just, like, was putting dozens of people under Imperious curses and telling them to just go about their daily business? Like, what are these people doing? And, like, they're coming out of these curses, but, like, they weren't at Hogwarts? They were just, like, at home? Like,
double agents?
Voldemort's just like, double agents, that's good. Sneaker agents. I like the idea that Voldemort's like, all right, Karen, you're going to be exactly like yourself, except for on Tuesday nights, I want you to kill the second cat that comes out of that bush. Like, just be exactly who you are.
except for this one thing. Her
name's Minerva McGonagall, and sometimes she's a cat.
Yeah. Well, so I don't think you can give Voldemort all the credit for the Imperious, because I know the Death Eaters were also Imperiousing lots of people.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think, it's all Voldemort. So
it's not an Imperious pyramid scheme where Voldemort's Imperiousing all of his Death Eaters who get 2 more people and they get 2 more people and so on.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I've done a good bit of research into this, and the only time we see layered Imperiuses is when Draco Imperiuses Madame Rosmerta, who then Imperiuses Katie Bell.
Who then gets 2 more friends, right?
Right, but who is also Imperious for, like, 10 minutes. So
10 minutes before almost dying.
So I think it probably takes extraordinary concentration to control someone into controlling someone.
Constant vigilance, one might say.
Yeah, so I don't think it's a pyramid scheme. I think it's more like every one of these Death Eaters probably Imperious, like, 4 or 5 people, and a lot of them probably aren't even part of, like, the war effort. They're just like, hey, like, I want you to be a dick to muggles, like Imperio. So I think that's more the vibe for these Imperious up and down the country.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Fair enough.
But that's a really good question, actually. That's worth pondering. I like that.
We should have a whole... we should do a whole Imperious curse episode sometime.
Yeah.
One for each of the killing curses. That'd be cool.
That would be interesting.
All right. Add it to the list. And talk of episodes. So these 7 Death Eaters, I've done a lot of research about Death Eaters. It's a whole big project of mine. But on an episode of Alohomora that we did about Death Eaters, we actually matched up these 7 to the 6 masked Death Eaters that are unidentified. And that was just a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is really fun.
But we have now reached the end of the episode. So would you like to know who the most mentioned character is who doesn't show up at the Battle of Hogwarts?
Drum roll.
Yes,
David Tennant.
Yes.
Drum roll, please. It is one Dolores Jane Umbridge.
Oh, of course. Catwoman herself.
Yup.
We didn't even talk about her.
No.
We don't want to talk about her.
Yeah. It's just because Order of the Phoenix is so long and she's in it so much that it's just like every page, Umbridge.
We don't talk about Umbridge. No. We don't talk about Umbridge.
Yeah. Also, in terms of the most mentioned characters, Umbridge beats out by one mention 2 others, which is Moody and Vernon.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Vernon's
That's
really
interesting
up
that
there.
Vernon's mentioned more than Petunia.
Yes, actually. According to
makes sense,
this
actually.
list, Vernon gets 140 mentions, and Petunia gets 117.
Wow.
Yeah.
To be
So there's-
fair, like the whole first chapter of
20
Sorcerer's Stone is like
Is
Vernon's
a lot of Vernon.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, 23 points to the patriarchy. Go men. There we go.
Yeah. But actually, Sierra, you came very close, because 4th, after Umbridge, Moody, and Dursley, is Fudge, actually.
Nice.
okay.
Well done, Sierra.
I also feel like I'm just going to put this out there. Technically, I think I came in 2nd because there's no Moody is dead and Vernon would never be there.
Well,
hiding.
I'm just saying, lots of people are dead who show up at the battle.
Rest in peace.
Harry's parents.
Yep, Sirius Black.
Sirius Black. Remus Lupin, who's both dead and alive.
Yep,
The
Severus
Grey
Snape.
Lady.
Albus Dumbledore.
Nearly
Like,
headless Nick.
It's pretty much a zombie party.
Okay.
I never specified living characters.
Okay.
Also, like, 16 of my guesses at the beginning of this were like, they're them because they're dead. Them because they're dead.
Yeah, and that like could have been okay, but the main person is not dead.
No.
That's true.
Yes.
That's just because he's a coward.
She's mourning the loss of her locket.
Mm-hmm.
Which creature has?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
With Dobby and Regulus attached to it.
Yes. Well, I think we need to end this portion with Peeves' victory song.
Yes.
We did it. We bashed him. We Potter's the one, and Voldy's gone moldy. So now let's have fun.
Yay!
Woo! Thanks for not helping all the people that we just mentioned on this podcast.
They were there in spirit.
Yes.
No,
Yes,
literally
and
they weren't.
speaking-
There were ghosts there.
And speaking of which, Irvin,
Yes.
what is playing on the pub's jukebox today?
Well, Sierra, I'm so glad you asked, because this song is actually what inspired this entire podcast topic. I've wanted to do this for ages, ever since hearing I Was There by the Moaning Myrtles, where Moaning Myrtle is talking about how you couldn't tell from reading the book, but I know I was there. So give that one a listen.
You know I fought in the war, even though I'm not quite sure what it was for. I took down some of those hooded guys without even messing up my hair. You couldn't tell from reading the book, but I know I was there. Ron and Hermione ran in a rush. I didn't even have time to flush. Showed them where the chamber was, but they didn't seem to care. You couldn't tell from reading the book. I know you all read the book. You couldn't tell from reading the book, but I know I was there.
All right. So, that was the Battle of Hogwarts, and all the people who were not there. But you know who was here is Tiffany. You were great, and we're so glad you were with us for this.
Tiffany, you were great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Tiffany, if listeners want to follow you on the internet, or if you want to promote anything else, do let us know. Plug whatever you want.
Well, I am a ninja on the interwebs, so if you'll find me, I'd be impressed. But you might find me later here.
Excellent.
Yes,
Oh,
indeed.
it's so exciting because soon, listeners, we've been teasing it for a couple of episodes now. Tiffany will be, how you put it, our Severus Snape, our dungeon master for the upcoming Harry Potter themed Dungeons and Dingleberries. I mean, dragons. It's fine.
Correction, I won't be dungeon mastering. I will be one of the players along with you guys.
Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed.
It's okay. My girlfriend Brittany is going to be our lovely dungeon master. She is fantastic.
It was such a good sell, Sam. Like, you had me.
You nailed it. And then it was just wrong.
I nailed it so well, except for the facts.
Like a true salesman.
Like a true salesman. Can't you tell that I'm like, this is a true fact about myself. My father, my grandfather, and my great-grandfather were all salesmen.
Huh.
This surprises me 0%.
Yeah, I'm like, that checks out.
Yes, and my mother was an actress, so that's why you got me, an English teacher, on a podcast. Yay, this generation's not screwed at all. Oh, good. Well, thanks so much, Tiffany. Really, it was great having you on, and I'm excited to partner with you as we are characters together on a Harry Potter Dungeons and Dingleberries.
This is going to be fun.
It's going to be great.
Yes, how many people are going to be in those dragons?
Hopefully none.
If this whole D&D session doesn't start with us inside a dragon ready to be spit out at the enemy at a huge battle, I will be upset.
Me too.
The whole first is just a conversation of all of us sitting in there. Well, and then it cuts. It's like, I bet you're wondering how we got in this predicament.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
very Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
Right up Dipper Pine's alley.
Yeah. And Sam, tell us where people can listen to this D&D one-shot.
Yeah, that's all going to be on Patreon, my guys, / my everybody. And you know who's going to be able to listen to it? I'm pretty sure she's on it. She's on the tier, I think, I hope. Is a huge thanks to Shruka, who bought us this round of drinks at the Three Broomsticks.
Woo! Thank you, Shruka. I hope you're pleased with what your drink produced. This episode was one for the ages.
Too much description of throats. It's fine. My apologies to everybody. If you would like to buy us the next round, head over to patreon.com/3 broomsticks. That's with the numeral 3 broomsticks to sign up. Also, Aurelia and I created our own Quidditch League recently with amazing teams and locations and rules, and we'll be updating you on the season as we go throughout 2024 and beyond. And as just mentioned, Tiffany will be joining us for a Harry Potter-themed D&D one-shot, which will be very exciting.
Yes.
You can also help us by rating and reviewing us. And if you like our show, don't forget to tell your friends. Word of mouth at such an early stage of the podcast helps us hugely, and we always love to see people being like, oh, yeah, I got into this because my friend got me into this. That's a really cool way for us to make connections.
Yes.
And love you all forever and ever with your undying loyalty.
Yeah.
Thank you forever.
And you know what's another great way to make connections?
Is it social media?
Find us on social media. I mean, I'm hoping that, you've been tweeting or gramming or booking at us or whatever it is the kids call it these days. With your guesses about the missing characters and your votes on all the things being swallowed. But in case you haven't been doing all that, you can find us all over the interwebs, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. Our sorted handles and our email address can all be found in the episode description and on our website. That website is 3broomstickspod.com. That's with the 3 spelled out. And there you will find links to all the essays we mentioned and all the music we talk about. You can submit a topic. You can let us know your thoughts. I feel like there is so much to talk about after this podcast. And we really hope to hear from you.
Definitely. And the next time that we meet at the 3 Broomsticks, we will be discussing Order of the Phoenix, Chapter 5, Order of the Phoenix. Thank you guys so much for listening. I've been Sierra.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Irvin. Thanks for listening. See you next time in the 3 Broomsticks. Cheers!
Give me big old buckets of butterbeer. Give me big old barrels of butterbeer. Give me the drink I love so dear. And another round for my friend right here of the sweet old butterbeer.
This episode of The 3 Broomsticks was edited by Patrick Musilek. The theme song was written and performed by The Faithful Sidekicks. Make sure to check them out at thefaithfulsidekicks.com.
Welcome to the 3 Broomsticks. We invite you to pull... Sounds like I'm doing a Halloween read. Oh my god.
Seriously, it's April. Like, I mean, I know Halloween is year-round in these parts, but, like, let's bring it down a notch.
Okay. April. No, it's May, so May flowers. Welcome to the Three Brooms.
We're not even going to get past the intro, Sam. 5 a.m.
Okay,
5
okay,
a.m. I have no problem with that.
Sam, we're doing Patreon after this.
I know. I'm so loopy. I normally have some sort of brain space between podcasts and work. Okay, here we go.
Tiffany, we are usually slightly better behaved than this. I won't say by much, but slightly. Yeah. Okay, so
That works.
oh dear.
What? No.